I was listening to a Deus video last night. The dust built out of dust, or what
Painted in dust.
Painted in dust.
Yeah.
And I was like, I heard the dude say it. I was like, fuck. That just went straight over the top of my head.
He
So I was
didn't
like,
even get it right. He
all right.
butchered a little bit.
All right, cool. Yeah, because I was like, it looks to me like Minchinton.
Yeah.
And I was like, he did not say that. So I wanted to double check before I crucified that.
No one's been able to get that right.
It's a unique name, Forrest Minchinton.
Yeah.
Do you know where the forest comes from?
My parents were hippies, I guess.
Yeah,
Kinda.
your parents are cool as fuck. I went on like a bit of a YouTube binge, like watching some of the stuff, and yeah, it definitely looks like you grew up with some fucking super rad parents that were just down to let you be a surf grom.
I mean, that's kind of what they did, really. So carried it on, and we just kind of live that. The life I'm living now is kind of what is an extension of like what we did as a kid, you know.
So special shout out to Mad Chook right now too. He's in the house. I wanted to get him in on this, but I just sort of explained to the boys that the studio is just like barely functioning as it is. Like it looks pretty on camera, but it's just not that pretty in here. There's like shit everywhere.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. It's just like we're just doing it for the gram straight up. But I probably will get Mad Chook on to do one of the Supercross companions because he's quick little fucker.
Yeah.
Quick little fucker, knows his shit about bikes, and also likes to talk shit and drink beer like me. So
yeah, get him talking about bikes.
And
go for hours.
Maybe one of the best glasses in the world.
For sure.
So if anyone hasn't seen Mad Chook's Instagram, actually go on. It's just at Mad Chook, eh?
Yeah.
Is there underscores or anything in it?
Mad Chook underscore at the end.
Mad score. Yeah, I knew there was an underscore. Yeah, Mad Chook underscore at the end. So you two, I guess where we can really start is that you guys, how did you guys become friends? Because you sort of come over, you stay with Chook, and then you work out of the glass lab in Tweed Heads, shaping boards. So is that what sort of got you out here first, or did you guys become friends through like Deus, or how did that work?
I think it was actually through Instagram. Like we just kind of, I seen his glass work, just through the industry, kind of see stuff, and then we kind of linked up via Instagram, and he came over. He'd actually come over to California to do some riding. Like,
okay.
A buddy of his has California motocross holidays over there.
Yeah.
And so he came over, and he just came over to do some riding. We linked up, went riding a couple times, and then he ended up we did a project over there. It was called Mojave Surfboards Project. We went out to my place in the desert and built the boards just like completely. It was like a raw, just kind of getting back to like the roots of board building, kind of a garage setup, and we're like 150 miles from the nearest ocean.
Yeah.
And we did the cool little project, and that was kind of what started it off. And so now we've been going. We went to Bali earlier this year, and then I came here first time in Australia, which was fun. And just kind of trying to just do little collaborations around the world kind of thing, It's
cool because like your style is you're a hand shaper. You're not just a hand shaper, but your designs and your outlines and the boards that you're making, they're like an old school. They're like a throwback to the 70s and the 80s. And then you add that with the fact that you're like, so we went and watched you shape a board yesterday, and I was blown away because you're pretty much shaping the entire thing with a planer.
Mm-hmm.
And from the friends that I know that shape boards, they would use a planer like as little as possible, just because it's such a gnarly tool. Like you're dealing with pretty delicate foam, and it's like use it as little as possible, just get the bulk out and then do the rest by hand. But you basically shape, like you could probably surf that board without even sanding it. Like it probably obviously wouldn't be as good, but it's like that's how close you were getting it. And then with what Chook does with his glassing and the artwork, it's all resin, so there's no stickers or inlays or anything like that. So it's cool to see two dudes that are so young not only throwing it back to the old school in terms of still hand shaping and still doing art with resin, but it's like it seems like you guys are taking it even further again than maybe what they did in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I think for both of us, like, and the reason that we connected initially was, both of us, not only did we like, ride moto and stuff, but both of our dads are shapers, kind of old school. Like, both are sort of underground, kind of, shapers and that aren't necessarily like, real famous or anything like that, but been around forever. And so I know that's my inspiration was from my dad for, all the boards I've had. All my templates are templates that, I got from him that are from the 70s and stuff like that. So he's been my biggest influence. And then I think, for Mark, it's similar in that way. Like from his dad, he kind of learned the ropes of all that old school shit that kind of, we sort of, I feel like we've kind of taken that and try to just reinvent it and mix the old school, new school, and as far as like hand shaping, like for me, it was just like a personal, sort of like I made the decision like I wanted to hand shape, I had a number in my head. I want to do at least this many boards before I go to a machine,
What was the number?
I think I started out, I was like, I'll do 1,000 boards.
Damn, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it all by hand. Like, it doesn't seem like a lot, but
dude, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm about halfway there.
Yeah, okay. So do you think that once I was curious if you've like hit that number and then you're like, fuck it, I'm not going back. But yeah, so you still haven't hit that number. Do you think that you will go to a machine at that point, or is it just like it's just a thing that you do now? Because watching you use that plane yesterday, it was just like, dude, it did not take you long to bust out a board. And I don't know, there was just something cool about the way that you use such an aggressive machine so delicately and so much control, and it sort of reminded me of when I'm shooting moto and you've got like a 300mm lens and it's at f5.6, and it's like if you take a photo with that, everything an inch in front of that dude's face and an inch behind his face is blown out. Right. And then you've got that dude coming through like the Millville whoops at you, and it's like you're just pulling on that barrel, and it's like you've got to be so in sync with your tool. And it really reminded me of that yesterday. Like you're adjusting the depth and the height, and it's all on the fly, and it's so quick, and the way you're doing it like that's an old school artisan type skill to have.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that thing just becomes an extension of your hand, really. Like you said, you do it, every day. All 8 hours a day. You do anything for all day, every day. Eventually, it just becomes like second nature. And
it's easy to quit on that kind of stuff. Like I remember when I first started, like Wes Williams, you remember like Verb Moto stuff? So Wes, dude, he is like a gangster when it comes to pulling focus. And there's another dude that films mountain bike films called Clay Porter, and he's done everything. But he's another dude where it's like you watch him. You remember that Zaka Station shoot with Cole Seeley?
Yeah, it was like
when he was on Troy Lee Honda.
Right, yeah.
So he shot that.
Okay.
And it's like if you go back, anyone listening that loves watching moto films, like I think it's it probably translates pretty well too, because I think it's like an underappreciated thing. And it's like in movies, there's like people that are focus pullers and they get paid bank because it's like a crazy skill.
Right.
But it's like it should be good. You're watching a movie, it shouldn't be out of focus. So it's something you take for granted. And I think it's probably a similar parallel to with shaping. It's like you just expect the board to be flawless.
Right.
But behind that is like this crazy skill that is really easy to give up on.
Yeah, I honestly I really enjoy the process. Like, I've played around with designing files on the computer and having them cut, and it's a great tool, and it's really like important to surfboard design, and it has its place, especially in production and performance surfboards, high performance surfboards. But when I finish sand a computer cut board, it's just I don't get the same enjoyment out of it, where you like when you're hand shaping, it's sort of, you get that like you just get in this like flow state while you're doing it. You kind of get lost in it in the machine.
Because it's critical,
like,
right?
Yeah, it's like critical, and you
can't make a mistake, so it's like you don't have a lot of room for outside thought.
Right. and you're sort of, it's like you're running your machine. You know how that machine feels. Like it's like a motorcycle. You pull the trigger, or you twist the throttle. Like you know how it's supposed to sound, how it's like the vibration's going to be a certain way, and like you know what I mean. Like if it's got like this.
It's like when
your
you're
attachment to it almost,
Yeah, and then you're like changing settings. It's like you can feel if you're making your forks harder. You can feel if your or tire pressures, like and especially you get. I imagine you're on a similar level to like what a really good rider would, like a factory rider would be, like a Chad Reed type guy of like knowing feel. And you'll hear Chad say, like he said in the podcast, like feel is the most important thing to him on a bike. So it's like you do have that connection to where it's like exactly what it's gonna do.
Yeah, like I grabbed my dad's planer, and his is set up pretty much the same, but it's just a different machine. It's the exact same model, maybe built a couple years apart. Like all those machines that we use are all built in the 70s for the most part.
Yeah, right.
But they're sort of
are they hard to get now?
Yeah, like they're expensive. It was probably brand new. It was probably like $100 tool that you bought, at the local hardware store. Now you go online, like people sell them for $1,500 on eBay.
Really?
Yeah, because they just don't make them. They don't make them, and they're sought after for like hand shapers. A lot of guys like them.
Do you reckon that a company would ever bring them back?
Well, there's a company called Accuplane, and they've built sort of like a billet version of that machine. So it's like the same thing, but just a
Does it
modern
have the
version.
same feel, or?
I've never used one.
Huh.
I know I've seen them, but they're like $4,000 if you buy one of those.
Damn.
But yeah, like I was saying, like when I grab my dad's and I start up and I use it, it's different. Like it feels totally different. It's like the same way if I hopped on your bike, and even if it was set up the same, it might feel, it's just gonna feel a little different.
For sure, man.
It's
yeah.
Like, but
yeah, well, there's definitely like if even me and my brother, perfect example. Like we went through racing together. We're only 18 months apart. Rode the same bikes. I'd ride his bike. I was like, what the fuck is this thing? Yeah. Like everything, even just like how the front brakes squeeze, like
right.
You just over time, like maybe you got a little bit of air in yours, maybe a little bit of water in yours. It's like that shit makes a difference. It's all those like tiny 1%ers when it's something that you do spend so much time on.
Yeah, you get, I'm attached to that thing. That's the moneymaker.
Yeah. So you travel with that thing everywhere?
Pretty much. I think like when going back to what you're saying about, we stick to hand shaping. I think that's the hardest part, is like traveling around the world with that planer. I have like, it's like a whole suitcase full of just shaping tools, and then all my templates and everything. So it's, it's a huge thing to lug around the whole, around the planet, not to mention excess baggage fees and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night after we were there. I was like, that's his planer, and then he's got templates and like everything that you've got to take around the world. Because how long were you in Australia for?
3 weeks.
Damn. And how many boards did you pump out when you were here?
I ended up doing 10 actually.
Yeah, right.
So which that's not a huge amount, but this trip I was kind of coming just almost like a little bit of working holiday kind of thing, just come visit and do some riding, and sort of just explore the place a bit, and do some boards while I'm at it, and try and offset the cost a little bit. And
and because it's crazy with shaping bays because they're all that blue.
Yeah, the
light's the same, so it's like you could be anywhere in the world. Like if you're in Australia and stuck in a shaping bay the entire time, you might as well be in San Clemente or Mojave Desert. Like it really doesn't matter, they all look the same, right?
I mean, that was really like the whole reason I really got into shaping too. Was like I was like, dude, how can I like keep traveling or like go somewhere and make money, and that was always the goal. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do, is just build these, find these shaping rooms across the planet where I can go and build a couple boards, make a couple bucks, and just keep the dream alive, keep going,
with the hand shaping thing, like it's definitely, I shaped a board with a friend that I didn't do a lot of the work. Like he did pretty much most of the planing stuff, and so I was just sanding and kind of fucking around, seeing what it was about. But like I've got a connection I got a connection to that thing. Like, I don't even know if it goes good. Like, I'm so biased to that board that, like, I don't know, it could be the biggest piece of shit. Like, I've never even really had anyone else ride it, but I always go for that board. So it's like, there is this, like, special sort of connection that you have to it. But then on the flip side of that is it's like, how many people are surfing now? Like, how many surfers are there in the planet? It'd be like millions. So do you think that the industry is at a point where it can't even support just hand shaping at this point?
Like you're saying, if like every manufacturer was just a hand shaping, I think
like, would the supply and demand be crippling? Like, how long would we be waiting for boards?
The difference would be in like how it was. Even it wasn't even that long ago where the machine didn't exist, you know, or it existed but not
in
really
the way that it does now.
Yeah, like you know, growing up, I pretty much spent every afternoon at the factory watching my dad shape, and it was the Robert August factory, and they had 5 or 6 shaping bays with 5 or 6 full-time shapers that were shaping, you know, probably 4 to 5 boards a day. So they're pumping out just about as many as one machine would, you know? So it was sort of just a different, there was a lot more shapers, you know, and they were just ghost shapers. They were like kind of your local dude who shaped, and he was just a production shaper, and so there's a lot more jobs for shapers back then. You could actually make, you know, a good living, where now it's like, it's sort of, I mean, there's a fraction of as many shapers as there used to be in the production world. So
does that
sort of change the landscape, really? I think if machines went away right now, like it'd have to go back to that model, which
it probably couldn't straight away though, eh?
No, because
there might not be that many skilled dudes.
There aren't like so many shapers, and this is part of the reason why I wanted to, you know, shape X amount of boards by hand, was because there's so many guys who've come in, never touched a planer ever in their life, and they just get on and shape 3D or whatever, you know, Aku Shaper, one of those kind of shaping programs, and you can design a board. Like if you're familiar with you know, like Adobe Illustrator, it's really similar, where it's like kind of you're, you know, just dragging and dropping and just punching in numbers, and you could design something. It's going to come out pretty symmetrical good. At least, you know. And if you have any, you know, sort of board design, you know, insight or just knowledge of dimensions and stuff, you could probably build a halfway decent board. Yeah. So for me, it was like, I want to, you know, sort of start from the bottom, work my way up kind of thing, you know, because there's so many guys out there who have just you just kind of skip 10 steps, you know, just go straight into, now I'm a shaper because I, you know, had it cut on the machine, and I don't know.
Does like the industry lose something, do you think, with that? Like, because I wonder though, like there's probably 2 arguments for it, because one side you could be like, well, if we don't have as many good shapers, then like the industry as a whole would suffer, because it's like board design there's not as many great minds and great like craftsmen creating boards. But then at the same time, it's like if you can build a pretty good board on a CNC machine and you can be like more creative in less time, it's like, does it get better, or do you just get lost in the sauce in a way, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's
like an interesting argument, right?
Right. Like, I mean, the thing is, like, surfboard design's so young. Like, it's only been, you know, just think about the change in surfboard design from even the 1990s, early 2000s till now. Like, it's completely different, like, in what guys are riding, especially if you're talking just at the competitive level. Like, the 1970s, 80s, there was, like, one guy riding a single fin, and then, you know, the guy next to him on the podium was probably riding a twin fin, or, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was, like, and a lot of the guys were shaping their own boards. Where now, if you went to a CT event, they're all riding pretty much thrusters or quads, and
they're all within a pretty tight. Yeah.
And so I think in that way, it's like, it's changed so much, where, like, it's almost necessary to have the machine for guys to, like, produce boards that are, like, really accurate and really precise, and, like, you know, just changing 1/8 of an inch here at a time. Whereas it's like the whole back then, guys were being like they were just like, it was this frontier of, like, they didn't know what they were doing. Like, they were making, you know, it was like changing so quick and so fast. Whenever guys were doing, I think at that time it was so important to be creative. Where now it's like they've just got it down to like millimeters of difference in every board. So I don't really know. It's hard to say where to go next, and that's not my market of surfboards at all. Like I make surfboards to have fun on, really, because that's just the type of surfing that I like to do.
Yeah, I'm not a great surfer, but I've never gone out and bought like a performance shortboard, because I'm like, well, I'm just not that good.
Right.
And I'm not going to get like a lot out of that. I want to have like something super easy to catch. And then when you're on it, it'll like almost feel it. It's like riding a 125. It makes you feel a bit faster than what you actually are.
Right.
As opposed to like going and buying like the best race 450, and then you get on that thing, you're like, oh, I can't fucking ride. Like I'm actually not good. But you get on something that like gives you that feeling of like, you're ripping, but you're really not. But the fun factor is like right there,
Which at the end of the day, that's all that matters. If you're not having fun, what's the point?
Yeah, and the surfing stuff, and I think it's the same with moto too. Like, I don't think that James Stewart going as fast as he's going is having like that much different of a feeling than you and me. Yeah. Really, and it's surfing's probably different though, because of like the scale of waves that you can be on. Like a fucking groveler at Burley is not pipeline, so I think it's a little bit different. But if the best session of your life, no matter what level of surfing you are, like the best session you've ever had is probably going to feel as good as the best session Kelly Slater's ever had, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I wonder that. Like, because you think about like James Stewart throwing a huge whip or something, where your guy, your average Joe at the track just kind of.
But a huge whip to the average Joe probably feels just as good. Yeah, like his version of a huge whip. Like
just
the
clearing
biggest,
the double. He's like, yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I think it's just because what we're getting is like a chemical reaction in our brain. Yeah. Like I don't think that your brain knows how big the jump was or how big the wave was, but if it's pushing your limit and it's giving you like that adrenaline dump, then it's like it's just the same chemicals, right? Right. So I mean, I don't think your brain knows you're a pipeline. If like you'll think a 4 foot Burley like point wave is like heavy as fuck, then it's probably the same mentality to Kelly going over the ledge at pipeline. It's like, this is heavy as fuck. Like I just feel like it's just your brain. Your brain doesn't really know. Everyone else knows that it's pipeline and something else, but I don't think your brain knows the difference. And I think it's just stoked out.
Yeah, I think those guys, once you get to a certain level, it's sort of, it's all relative, right? Like you kind of like you get lost in the moment and of competing or whatever. It's like it's all, I don't know, the way you scale it in your brain, right? Like as you get better at something, that's true,
right? Like the better you get at riding or surfing, the stuff that used to froth you out just doesn't. Right. So it sort of, it's like there is like the ceiling in a way, right?
Yeah, because I mean, there's kids, their very first wave they've ever caught, they just caught whitewater, and it could be
frothing,
the best moment of their life.
100%.
And there's some other dude just got a 10 at pipe, and maybe it's not as good as that kid's, in that moment. Yeah. Just because you're almost like not jaded, but kind of in a way, right? Like.
Yeah, and it's just like what you have to like draw back on. Right. But that's why I think that, again, it's like just chase the thing. In competitive surfing, it's like you've got to have like you're chasing a result. But when I go surf, I'm chasing just some waves that are gonna like be fun, and then I'm out there with my friends, So it's like I guess that's been my mentality forever, is just to only have like those really easy to surf, really fun boards. And I mean, dude, even like foamies and stuff, like you have some of the best sessions ever just on a foam board.
Yeah, actually, me and my buddy Louie, I went up to Newcastle over the weekend, and we surfed. It was like 2 foot onshore in the afternoon, and we rode foamies with no fins, just sliding out. It was like the most fun I had all day, like probably all week surfing, and we were just, fucking around. And the week before it was supposed to be, it was like the cyclone swell of the year. And I'm out there trying to get waves at Kira and just getting smoked. And like, I had way more fun, honestly, on the foamy. Yeah. On 2 foot onshore day.
Dude, because I was watching last night, you're a goofy foot too, eh?
Yeah.
Does that piss you off when you come to Goldie? Or
Yeah.
like you're pretty solid going whatever?
No, I wish I could go switch.
Fuck, bro. Like that's like the biggest. Are you goofy or regular?
Regular.
Fuck, see? My brother's
Yeah.
regular and I just like go out and as soon as it gets big here, I'm like, if I could go left on that,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go right on that motherfucker. I'll just be, and like no one wants to surf with me too because I'm like, let's go like that shitty beach break up the road.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, man, belly's firing.
Yeah, it's funny. All the guys I've been traveling with over the last like 4 or 5 years, they're all regular foots. So we always end up going, it's like 3 against 1. We're going to the right,
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. So,
Yeah, dude, I'm like on that program right now. It just pisses me off so hard. So you got into, like, you're like heavy into moto. Like, do you ride more than you surf? Or say if you lived and you had a house on the beach, but a track right behind it, what would you do more?
it'd be 50-50 for
You
sure.
reckon? So you've just got the 50-50 program running?
I mean, I was always more passionate about riding for sure. Like, I lived at the beach. Like, I had to drive at least an hour to go ride. So growing up, like, I couldn't ride every day. So I would just go surf every day instead, It was just, like, the way I grew up, that was just what we did. Like, all my friends, even, I had a lot of friends that rode too, but it was just, that's sort of like, in Huntington, that was just what me and all my friends, like, we went surfing no matter what. We just would go surf every day. That was just the routine. You didn't even think about it like, oh yeah, we gotta surf. It was just like, that's what you did. There was wake up, go surf, go to school, maybe surf again. Like, you know what I mean? There was,
yeah.
but I think because of that, that's what made me like, I was like, oh, I want to go ride so bad, because it was like,
Because that
couldn't
wasn't
do it
a
every day.
routine thing.
Yeah, I couldn't do it every day. I wanted to do it every day, but I never wanted to like live out there in Riverside or whatever.
Yeah.
I had no interest in that, but
That's the right call.
yeah, yeah, it's not that great, especially compared to the beach. But I think I've always leaned more towards moto, like.
And it
Sure.
probably is because you couldn't do it every day. Like, I'm sure if you lived at the track, but your parents surfed on the weekend, then you'd probably be amping to surf,
Yeah, I think there's quite a few people out there like that. I think that I've got like athletes or whatever that have gone to be like really great. Not saying that I did, but like, there's a lot of guys that because it wasn't like, because they had to like work for it, it was like they wanted it more, I don't know. It seemed like there's been quite a few surfers like that maybe live like 20-30 minutes inland, but because of that, they were like way more froth to surf.
Well,
they
I guess
appreciated it more kind of thing.
You could probably put Kelly in that. Like, Cocoa Beach didn't have crazy waves, and then it's just like he wanted it so much.
Yeah, like you're hungry for it. But yeah, definitely lean more towards moto.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because so you were saying yesterday that you really started trying to make money out of shaping to buy a bike so you could race.
Yeah.
So I think that was like pretty cool.
Yeah, I honestly started building surfboards so I could ride dirt bikes, which is kind of funny. But yeah, like once I hit a certain age, my dad was like, "Nah, not buying you any more bikes." Like.
So did you always have a bike?
Yeah, since I was 7 years old, my dad actually bought me an ATC, like a little 3-wheeler.
Yeah.
Like a 19. I don't even know what it was.
Does he know how fucking crazy that idea was?
I know, it was weird because
sketchy.
he had bikes. Like, he had an old. It was like a Yamaha IT 175.
Yeah, dude, I remember those things.
Yeah. And him and his two best friends, they're like my uncles, but they would always go riding on the weekends, go out to the desert, and they just like.
They didn't do track stuff. They just rode like in.
They would like be riding in jeans and work boots and like an open face helmet. It was really just an excuse to go out there and drink beer, maybe shoot some guns and cruise around.
Not have anyone tell them what to do.
Yeah, they're very much like 70s kind of. Back when when they were kids, like to be a surfer was you're sort of like a kind of beach bum,
Yeah,
kind of thing. They're like really like kind of fuck the man kind of vibe. That's always their mindset. So it was always like, yeah, go out to the desert and fucking get away from everybody. There's no one out there. No one tells us what to do. No cops. Do whatever we want. But the first time I was 7 and my dad bought me I think he got it for free or something. I don't remember, but took me to Beaumont, actually, of all
Yeah,
places.
okay.
And they used to like going out there and they cruise. Like back then, you could kind of camp out there. It was like legal to ride and stuff.
Yeah.
And we went out there, and the first time I was like crying, like, "Ooh, I'm scared." But then after that, like he got me, I think he got me like a TTR or something like that.
Yeah.
And then from there, I ended up getting like a YZ85. And then by the time I got the YZ85, I was like super into it. Started like found buddies that, you know, their dads rode and stuff, and we started going to the track. And
because Huntington is still pretty like bro, really.
Yeah.
It's a bro beach for sure.
yeah, for sure.
Like there's a ton of dudes that still have like the lifted trucks and ride moto and stuff like that.
It's the 909 by the sea.
Yeah, big time. Well, it really is like, because when I lived in Temecula, I'd either go to Huntington or Oceanside,
Yeah.
and both of those they're like not, well, I guess you can't really say Huntington's not like a wealthy beach now, but it's not like Newport or Laguna sort of thing.
Yeah.
But that's like the straight shot from the IE to get to the beach.
It
And
is.
that's what Oceanside was as well. It's just like that's the quickest one to get to. So it still was like, I feel like you had a lot of dudes that wanted to still ride and like be in the Inland Empire, but also wanted to be on the beach.
Yeah, I mean the 55 like dumps you out right at Huntington, Newport, you know. So everyone goes there, and it's like such a tourist attraction there. So it's like you get so much of that. But also before any of that, before the whole like bro thing, like motorcycles have always been big in Huntington.
Oh, but
like in
there
the
was
culture
like,
there.
Yeah, there was like Carlsbad had like a track as well.
We had Saddleback, so it was like
where
20
was that,
minutes
in Huntington?
inland. So it wasn't in Huntington, it was like 20 minutes inland. But my dad always tells me stories like when they were a kid, there's where Central Park is.
Yeah.
So at Central Park they had tracks there when he was a
Really?
kid. But that, I mean, you're talking just, you know,
Yeah.
just natural terrain.
Yeah.
You know, so it would have been like late 60s probably. So you'd ride his mini bike around in there and stuff. And back then it was like, it wasn't that long ago that Huntington was just open fields and farmland. Like the 60s, there was still wide open.
Well, they've still got like oil drill, like
in the
like,
wetlands.
yeah, the oil.
Yeah, I mean the
rigs or whatever
whole,
there.
pretty much the whole city was built on oil. Like if you look at photos from the 1920s, it was like from the coast, basically from Main Street all the way to Sunset Beach on the coast. It was like, you know, oil derrick wall to wall, like next to each other. It was crazy. And then so the whole community was kind of built on just blue collar type of people, you know. So that's why it probably has maybe that like bro vibe or whatever, because it was really just blue collar people that, you know, probably rode motorcycles and or they were like fresh out of World War II or whatever, you know, like
like Vietnam even.
Yeah, even after that.
Yeah. Like
even for how my family ended up in Huntington was my grandfather was in the Navy in the Korean War, and then afterwards he was an electrician in the Navy, and it was called I think it's called McDonnell Douglas, which is now Boeing. Like airplanes.
Yeah, which is right there.
Right there.
Yeah, yeah.
So they moved there because of that. He got a job working for them.
Really?
As an electrician, yeah. So that brought my family there. They bought a brand new house in North Huntington. I think he bought it for like $20,000, brand new.
That's crazy.
In the 50s.
Trying to remember the name of the there's like a little suburb in there that's right by DC and Boeing and all. Well, I don't know if DC is still there.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Quicksilver.
yeah, it's like all Hawaiian names, like Oahu Drive and all that. My ex-girlfriend's parents used to live in there.
Oh, okay.
So we used to go there all the time. I can't remember the name of that, what it was, but yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, I didn't think that Boeing and those companies, like I think Lockheed Martin even has something there as well as like a part of Boeing.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's been there for like 30 years, then you'd have to think that that's a lot of people that company would employ there.
Yeah. I mean, it still is there. It's huge. There's actually all of North Huntington. It's all aviation, like manufacturing. They're doing, you know, there's private companies that do all kinds of little stuff. Like one of my best friends at home, his family, that's what they do. They have, you know, it's a family business. They build different, you know, aircraft parts.
That's crazy. Yeah. There's a guy that I know through Toby, Jesse Jones. He races Baja, and that's who Toby did the Baja with the first time that he did it in the truck, and that's what he does. Like makes aircraft parts and like does heaps of shit for Boeing.
That's why there's so much, like there's big money and all that stuff. That's why if you go to Huntington, like there's so many blue collar dudes that you're like, this dude's got a
They're
race
straight
truck,
ballers, yeah.
and he's got, you know, and they just spend money on like fun toys. So you see a lot of that. There's a lot of like off-road trucks and stuff, and you know, race teams that are built out of Huntington. And there's a lot of them come from, you know,
that airline money.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm sort of like just putting all that together in my head. I'm like, that does make a lot of sense. Because I used to drive past Bali all the time. Every time I went to a parents' house, we'd like drive right past that whole deal. But yeah, so you started shaping, right? What were you doing? Like, you're probably sweeping shit out and like, you know, ding repair and stuff like that to like make that initial money to buy that bike.
Yeah, I mean, like my dad was pretty much like, it was just me and him. It was like a single dad, so I didn't really have anywhere to go a lot of times after school, so I'd just go there. That was kind of like my daycare, you know. So I'd go there, and I started out I would just build. I'd take like chunks of foam and make these like mini surfboards and stuff, you know. And then
really,
like I would just like
a tech deck.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Just doing stuff like that, and then I started kind of, I was swept up a little bit, but not really. I kind of was just hanging around more than anything, and watch the guys, you know, watch them shape, and they're all like a classic bunch of dudes, like you know, talking like Robert August, who's like, you know, from the have you seen the film Endless Summer? They're all like, you know, old school crusty dudes, and that era was like super. Like, you didn't just like rock up to a factory and be like, oh, I want a job. Like, they didn't. They were like salty old dudes, you know. They wouldn't show you anything. You had to learn the hard way, kind of thing. Like, do your apprenticeship kind of deal. Yeah. And they weren't willing to like, they weren't gonna like hold your hand and be like, oh, it's okay, you know. It was like, you fucked up, they were pissed, you know. Kind of thing. So as I got to a certain age, finally my dad was like, you know, all right, we'll teach you how to do ding repair. I was like, oh, I need money for a bike, I want to go riding. He's like, oh, I'm cutting you off, like, you're old enough now, you know. I think I was gonna buy my first like 250F, or first big bike. So he taught me how to do ding repair, and I started doing that, and you know, made some money and stuff. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna make my own board. Like, so I shaped my own board, and then and glassed it, and the thing was an absolute abortion. It was horrible.
What did you try and shape?
I made like a, whatever I was into at the time, was like a, you know, kind of like a shortboard. Oh, like, so standard shortboard. Okay. That's what you fucked up. You should have made something. Yeah, I should have made something. I was like, oh, this is what I want. You know, I could. Even if it was like dog shit, it'd still work. Yeah, and the board's actually, it's actually all right. Like, I still have it. You got the first one? Yeah, I still have it. It's actually it's down in Costa Rica at my stepdad's house. But I tried to glass it, and like halfway through glassing it, the resin kicked off, and the things, you know, it's like, it was it's pretty bad, but it still worked. And then I was kind of like, fuck. You realize how anything will work. The difference between working really good and just working is like, you know, two different things. But after that, I kept doing it and did a few more. And the next thing you know, a couple buddies were like, oh, make me one, you know? And then it kind of just snowballed from there. The next thing I know. And what age was this, you reckon? This was, I would have been about, when I really started shaping, I was probably about, I was like 19 maybe. Yeah. So just after high school. And so you said you're 27 now. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then I kind of finally had enough work where I just kind of didn't have to do ding repair anymore. I was just building boards. And a lot of them weren't that great, but, you know, my buddies were stoked, and making them for cheap, and it just kept going, just kept plugging away. Like, there's a bunch of times I'm like, oh man, I should get a real job or something, you know. Yeah. But every time I just keep doing it, and then, you know, new opportunity to do something else, I just kept taking like, oh, you want to come over here and shape over here? All right, you know, just keep taking opportunities, and then it just it forced me to get better, you know. And I think the biggest one was I went to Bali, and I kind of linked up with the Deus crew in Bali, and they were like, oh, you've been shaping boards, we like your stuff or whatever. And I'd only done, you know, maybe at that point maybe 200 something boards. Like, oh yeah, you want to do like 10 for us? I was like, oh shit, like, damn. I'm like, yeah, I'll do 10. Like, in my head I'm thinking, yeah, I'll get them done. I'm like, fuck, I've never really done that. I don't even know what do I make. Like, I never done like an order for a shop. I don't even know what size range is and none of that. But I just kind of winged it and just went for it, and but But anyways, like that kind of thing like really helped me become a better shaper too. I just kept doing numbers and numbers and kept plugging away at it, and it kind of became a job, I guess, in a good way.
I think that's like the biggest thing that, like, all the people that you meet, all the people that I talk to on this podcast, they're like successful people. They're like killer at what they do, but no one started as like, oh yeah, you're fucking Forrest about a shaper. It's like, hey Forrest, fucking do some ding repair. Yeah. And it's like, if you're willing to, I guess one thing is like, you've got to be doing it for the right reason. Like, you have to enjoy it to start with. It's got to be something that you do whether you get paid or not. Yeah. And like I've said on the podcast, I do this anyway. I fucking like this. I like getting to know new people. I like getting to talk shit. But if you just do it and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, people listen to this, or, you know, now more people, and then it's like, people want to buy my board, and now Deus wants 10 boards, and it's like, they're the people that are successful. And I get asked for advice on shit so much. I'm like, dude, just listen to what like guys like yourself say. Just start in your fucking, like, we built this could be a shaping bay. Oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like, if you've got, might be at some point, but like, you know, it's not a secret to how you get good at something. Like you just said, you've done 500 boards. Yeah I mean, I think anybody that's doing anything really good, like, or just when someone's passionate about something, you know, it always shows through, like, in whatever the product is, you know, the finished product. You can just tell when someone's passionate about something. You know, the product's usually better, like, in every way. But yeah, I'm still like super passionate about shaping, even though, like, I guess, you know, like a lot of guys like shape forever and then you just get jaded. You know, you're like, oh, well, I think there's probably a thing with the fact that you're so into moto. Yeah. That it's like you can get an escape. Like when the shaping thing gets too much, it's like you've sort of got moto as a thing to like lean back or take you away from that, and then it can kind of re-energize you to go back into this. Yeah, that's always been like, I can't really have one without the other, because there's been times where I was like, oh, I'm like super into moto right now. I'm gonna go. I should just live in the desert, live out somewhere where I can ride every day. And then I go out there and do that, and I spend like, you know, maybe a couple weeks doing that. Next thing I'm like, fuck, I want to surf, and vice versa. I'm sitting at the beach, and you know, I get burnt out one or the other. I gotta have that, like, I gotta change it up. I almost can't have one without the other. And that's like, dude, that's fucking yin and yang. That's life, you know. I think that's a important thing for people to, like, that's just an important concept in general. Is like, you can't have one thing without, like, you need offset in your life. Otherwise you just start, like, if you just fucking walked on one leg, your shit would be jacked. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I mean, at the same time, like, I always, maybe the reason why I never you know, was like crazy successful at any one thing was because I was always trying to do everything, you know. But I'd say you're a pretty successful shaper. Like, you make a living traveling the world, and you've got like a deal with Deus. Yeah. You know, I'd say you're pretty successful. I don't know, like, what else you'd like. Well, what else would be your like definition of success? Oh, I mean, it wasn't necessarily success, but like, you know, people who are really great at one, you know, at whatever the respective sport is, you know, like say James Stewart, like there probably wasn't much else that he did besides ride. There was nothing else he did but ride. So and like having the yin and yang, and maybe that's why he's in a place that he's in now, where he's, you know, he's in the sunken place. Right. He's nowhere. He didn't have the, you know, the yin and yang. Yeah. So, but yeah, on the flip side, it's kind of like I just did whatever you want. Yeah, you know, whatever was fun. Like I never really cared about. Like I liked, you know, I grew up racing for fun here and there, but like I wanted to win, but like I didn't really like I didn't want to like chase a series. I want to be a champion. Like I never was really this was all about just the lifestyle of like just enjoying life, you know. Well, I think that it was like a thought I had recently was I lived in the States for 7 years, and like I got to a point where I did a lot in moto. Like I filmed pretty much everyone, and I did a lot of cool shit. And it was when I did that James Stewart scrub video, and he's like dragging his fucking front brake lever on an up ramp. I'm like, we all like, and the crew were like, every one of us and like Garth Milan, who's like one of the best photographers on the planet for moto. We all just stood there and looked at each other. It was like the last shot we did. And then James rode back around and he's like, do you need it again? And I was like, I'm out, dude. I'm out on moto. You just dragged your front brake in fourth gear wide open doing a scrub. I was like, that's it. Yeah. What else do you film from here? But it was funny that I had that moment and I was really like, all right, I'm going to get into movies and I'm going to do like the Hollywood thing. But it obviously didn't happen. Like I didn't even get close. I didn't even work on a movie set.
Did you try?
No, not really. Like I didn't really want it. Right. You know, like I shot a couple music videos with some cool rappers and shit. But even I was doing that and I was like, I don't really want this. But I feel like it's easy to tell yourself you want something. Right. The idea of it. That you want the idea, but it's like you don't actually want the thing that it's like romanticized in your head. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. And I had a bit of a like weirdness about it. It's like, God, did I give up on my dream? And then it was super recent. I was like, that fucking wasn't your dream. Like you just wanted to come home and be with your friends. Like it wasn't, and your family. It wasn't, you really didn't want it. The dudes that are doing it wanted it. And it's like, you can have the talent to do it. Like I feel like I could have gone and shot whatever I wanted. I feel like I still could, but it's like you obviously just don't want it that bad, and that's okay. But I feel like there's so many external pressures in like the life we live now where it's like I think we want stuff that we don't really want just because it's sort of what you feel like you're supposed to want. And you've lived you've lived your own life. Like there's not many of you out there, if you think about it, like a professional shaper that still hand shapes all his own shit, has a little cult following with boards that you've got and your own designs and your own style, and you're super into moto and you get flown around the world to ride motos as well. So it's like, I don't know, man, I feel like that is probably what you should be doing. That was always like sort of the dream, I guess. As a kid, I was like, oh, I just want to. That's everyone's dream when they're a kid, is they want to go do whatever they like to do and get paid to do it, you know. But I've always been kind of a realist. I was always like, nah, the reality of me doing that is probably not going to happen. So I was like, you know, I was like academically, like in school, I always took it serious. I did good in school. I was like honor student, straight A's kind of thing. I'm like, I always saw myself like, I'm going to get a job, like a corporate job. I'm going to work 9 to 5. I'm going to make a bunch of money. Do you really think that? Yeah, I was like, that's what I want to do. Really? Because like growing up, like we never had any money. Like, yeah, true. So like at the time, I'm like, oh yeah, like my dad was a shaper and you know, my mom did like physical therapy stuff, massage, and you know, they loved what they did, and we like had the freedom to travel, and we went on surf trips, and like in hindsight, I was like, well, that was the sickest childhood. My parents are rad, you know. We just went on surf trips and went riding and did fun stuff all the time. But like we never had, I don't want to say we were poor, but like we didn't have much money, you know. And so as a kid, I'm like, you know, I see my friends that got nice cars and nice bikes, and their parents have a nice house, and I'm living in, you know, the shed out the back that my dad turned into a room, and it was a sick room. All my friends with all the money, they wanted to come stay at my house because my house was cool, and like, you know, the cool dad. Yeah, the cool dad. My dad's drinking beers with the boys in the back, you know. So I was like, but I'm always like, oh, well, I wish I had a nice house and this. I'm gonna work hard in school, and I'm gonna go get a job and make a lot of money. And then I got to college, and I was kind of like, what did you study at college? I started out, I was like, just whatever degree's gonna make me the most money. That's what I want to do. I'm gonna be an engineer. I'm gonna be something. And then like a year in, I'm like, fuck, this, like, I don't know, this sucks. Pretty funny how quick that turns to shit. Yeah. And then so I kind of was like, like, what do I like? I was like, I like building shit. So I did some art stuff. And then I started realizing, I'm like, fuck, this is, school's great and all. Like I like learning. Like every day I try and learn, you know. But I was like, all this degree, all it's really doing for me is teaching me how to be a really good employee for somebody. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I was just like, what do I really want to do? I was like, oh fuck,
I like surfing. I really like riding. I like making surfboards.
And you'd already made money out of it, right?
Yeah, at that point I had made some boards, and I was making. At that point I was making boards, and I was just like, fuck, I just what I got to lose? Like, it's now or never. Like, let's just try it. See what happens. And I just started like just building boards. I went out and like I always had like these dreams of like being a racer. Like I grew up racing off-road stuff out in the desert. I was like, I want to be a racer or something. So I like started like racing all the time. I started building boards to pay for racing, and then every opportunity that would come up, I would just take it. Like, someone would be like, hey, you want to go do this? You want to go ride here? You want to go shoot this? You want to go, whatever it was. And I would just take it. And then when some friends of mine, they've been going to Bali a bunch, and they were like, and this guy Dustin Humphrey, he's the one who started Deus Bali. So like one of the co-founders, he is actually from Huntington Beach, like originally, and so he had I'd kind of reconnected with him actually, and he was sort of like, hey, we got this cool event like coming out in Bali. It's called Slidetober. It's like I didn't even know what Deus was or anything. He's like, yeah, we do like, it's like 1 day surf, 1 day moto, like it's fun, like come out, have it's like a big party. So my buddies were there, and they're like, come out. So I like had $1,000 in my bank account, bought $1,000 ticket, and just a week later I was going to Bali, and that sort of like was what kickstarted the whole thing for me. Like, where I was like, got there and I was like, oh, I can start, like, these guys are building boards, they're like riding bikes, or they're doing everything that I like to do. And I just started kind of hanging with that crew, and they yeah, you want to build a board? I'm like, yeah, sure, build a board. And like, hey, we've been filming this movie, and
was that the Red Bull one?
It was called South to Cyan.
South to Cyan. Everybody should watch that. It's fucking sick.
Yeah, so
couple of Noosa boys, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, one dude's from Newey and one dude's from Noosa.
Two of the boys, Zai and Harry, are from Noosa.
And then did they have one dude that's from Newcastle?
Louis is from Newcastle.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that was a sick film, dude.
And so they were filming the very last scene, and it's in the volcano. It's like the volcanic sand dunes. And they were like, hey, we're gonna go ride bikes in this volcano. You want to go? And I was like, yeah. Like,
that's crazy.
So we went there, and that's what like started off the whole thing. And then that one trip turned into another trip, and the next thing you know, I was like, fuck, I'm traveling around making some money.
Part of the fam.
Yeah, I was just like, I started like kind of kickstarted. Next thing you know, I was like making some money, building boards, traveling with those guys, riding bikes, and before you know it, you're like just too busy having fun. Then you're like, oh shit, like it's kind of what I wanted to be doing all along, kind of just all fell into place.
It's crazy that the whole Deus thing is like, that is a company for you.
It literally is.
Like, you couldn't have wrote that any better.
Like, it seriously, everything that I like to do is the brand's, it is the brand, like from building boards to building bikes to just art, like that's what I was doing in school, fine art stuff, shooting photos, all that stuff. So yeah, it's been great. They've been really good to me, and like,
does it still trip you out?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's
that's actually real.
Yeah, it's funny, but part of the funny thing how it's come full circle is Dustin, like, who I owe a lot of this to. Like, he, as a kid, like he wanted to be he was from Huntington, and he was a surf photographer. I don't know if you're familiar with who he is.
What's his last name?
Dustin Humphrey.
Dustin Humphrey.
So he
I'm sure I've seen his stuff.
Yeah, like he was staff photographer, I think, on Surfer magazine at one time.
So
and like,
for sure seen his stuff.
But yeah, when he was a Grom, like all the boys would go. This is when I was, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. My dad would have raging parties at our house. Like, every weekend there's a raging party at our house, pretty much. Like, all the boys, like, whenever there's traveling surfers in town, they always crashed on our couch. That was the kind of the vibe at our house. And when Dustin was sort of, graduated high school, they started going to Indonesia, him and the Turners, Ryan and Timmy Turner, who were surfers, and he picked up photography, and he was following his buddies, and he was shooting them. And he'd stay at my dad's house, like in between trips. He's just crashed on our couch.
That's so sick.
As, he was just like, maybe 18, 19, 20 years old. And my dad, he always had dirt bikes and surfed and he'd shape Dustin boards and then he went on to be a really successful photographer and be one of the co-founders of Deus Bali and stuff. And so it kind of like came full circle where he was sort of influenced by my dad, as a kid, and then coming up we got to, kind of I didn't talk to him for whatever that was, 20 years or whatever, 15 years.
That's insane.
And then reconnected, and it was like, whoa, he's built this thing. It's like, from a lot of the same we had the same influences in a roundabout way,
like
with
too,
my dad and stuff, and so then he kind of like took me under his wing in a way too, where it just sort of like, this is what we're doing, like slept on his couch now, you know what I mean, like returned the favor after all these years, to my dad letting him sleep on our couch. So it's kind of funny how life works that way,
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, you said something cool before, which is sort of what like I've always tried to live by. And there's like, dude, even I just went and did that trip in Vietnam, and I was honestly stressing about doing it because I've just had like so much shit on.
Yeah.
And my mum and dad did it last year, and they booked it again. And they were like, dude, you got to go.
Yeah,
and then my mum booked my flight and was like, just pay me back later. And I was like, I don't fucking want to pay you back for this now. Like, you just stitched me up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I was stressed before it because we were building all this shit. And, dude, I went on a trip. I'm like, as soon as I got there, I was like, you're fucking retarded. Like, your whole life has been spent saying yes to opportunities when they didn't make sense. And that's got you to where you are. And, like, I've had friends where I see opportunities that come up for them and they just say no. And I'm like, dude, if it's not going to completely ruin your life, never say no.
Right.
Because you just don't know who you're going to meet.
That's the thing.
You don't know that one person. You don't know that. And dude, that's been my all-time favorite thing about the podcast. It's just like the people you meet.
Right.
And perfect example is Harry. Like, Harry, the first time Harry came on the podcast, he was a fill-in for someone that cancelled. And I wasn't even like, I knew of him and I was like, the dude's just a fucking crazy freestyle maniac. Like, he's not going to be able to sit down and talk for 3 hours. The dude's one of the best guys ever. And he's got this whole nother sort of layer to him. And then it's like, you kind of fast forward and like, this is in his house.
Yeah, it's funny how it works, yeah.
And it's like, you have to say yes to stuff even if you don't think that that's where it's going to be. Because it's like, it's in all of those crazy yeses that you say. It's like, I always would say to people that where a no goes.
Yeah,
a no stops. A no stops at the exact moment you finish saying no. That's it. It's over. That opportunity or whatever direction the universe had for you, if you said yes, it's gone. Shut off. Pathway closed. Never going to happen again. So it's like, it's cool to hear you say that exact same thing with how it's sort of played out in your life.
I mean, that's what getting a 9-to-5 was saying no, for me. That was like saying no to the opportunity of life. I knew exactly where that'd lead me to. 30 years, retirement, 401k, buy a house. Yeah. Some like that, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh,
well,
I don't think I wouldn't have, knowing every day, like where I gotta be, like waking up, like, oh, I gotta be there at 9 to 5 and get home. I sit on the freeway and I go, like, dude, like, I don't think I would lose it. I don't think I could do that. Like, I love not really, like, I love the
uncertainty.
Yeah, the uncertainty of like something really good could happen. It might not generally, like, it doesn't always, but like, not just the thought that maybe something really cool could happen, or you just don't know what could happen. Yeah. That's what keeps me going, like, that's what the beauty of travel too. Like, you're kind of like, you don't really know like what to expect or what's going to happen, who you're going to meet. So that's just, I don't know, I like thrive on that.
There is some people though that, because I'm sure you had times in the beginning where it's like you were broke as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being in the States and waiting at a gas station in, like, where FMF is?
Yeah.
Like in Compton?
Yeah.
Like, I straight up went to take pipes back to FMF when I was working for JDR. And I just didn't realize I didn't have any fuel in my car. Got to FMF, dropped the pipes off, and then sat at a gas station. It was like a fucking Chevron dude in Compton for like 7 hours while I waited for my mum to wake up and transfer me $20 so I could get fuel to go back home. where I didn't have food. And it's like, I mean, it is one thing to say that you know, like, there's you live for the uncertainty of it, and it's not monotonous in any way. But it's like, on the flip side, you have to be prepared to wade through that sea of shit that can periodically come with that lifestyle.
Yeah, I get that, honestly, like, all the time, where whether it's people I grew up with or just people like, oh, you're so lucky, like, you know, this and that and the other, like, I wish I could live that life, and it's such a good life. And I'm like, yeah, I feel super lucky, but, you know, you got to sacrifice. I just sacrifice a lot of the comforts of being home every night, or this, you know, there's other things that you know, it's a give and take, I guess, you know, of whether you want, of what you want, you know. I'm like, you know, you could try, like, talk to my friends, like, you could do it too, you know, if you really want it and you want to travel.
Comes to that one thing,
yeah,
again, right?
But just most people aren't willing to give up whatever it is to, or they're afraid, like, they, you know, like, oh, I'm not gonna get a paycheck every week, and, or, you know, there's so much, like, uncertainty, and a lot of people are just afraid of that. Like, they can't deal with, they need that stability, you know, because it's the way I live, it's super unstable. Like, I don't know necessarily if how much money I'm gonna make every month or whatever, you know. You just kind of wing it and make it happen. But for me, that's, like I said,
sort of worth it in the end.
Yeah, that's you know, part of the fun of it too, almost, you know, just kind of making it all work, living on the, like, by the seat of your pants kind of thing.
But I mean, just it isn't for everyone.
No,
like, it definitely gets sketchy at times.
For sure, it's not the easiest, but I wouldn't change it. Like, you know, if on the flip side, like, oh, if I had all the money in the world, then
you'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah, or, you know, it wouldn't. I don't know if I had all the money in the world, but I couldn't do what I do now. I don't know if it'd be worth it. If I had all the money in the world to sit in a house somewhere and go to office every day, like, what good is that if you don't love what you're doing?
Fuck, I wish I could remember who it was that. Oh, it was Casey Neistat. Have you ever seen any of his stuff?
No.
Dude, he's like the dude that invented the vlog. He's a pretty cool guy. But he posted a video on YouTube, and I think if anyone wants to search it, it's like Rich versus Poor or something like that, Casey Neistat. But he said that there's, like, when people say, like, oh, money can't buy happiness,
yeah,
he's like, well, if you're super broke, you got a baby that you can't buy diapers for, you've got rent you can't pay, you've got a car that has no fuel in it, then money literally can buy happiness.
Right.
In terms of, like, we can solve problems that are making you unhappy, essentially. But it can't necessarily buy you happiness. So it's like, I think people need to shift the way they, like, I think it was a really good way of explaining it, is that money can't buy you happiness, but it can fix problems that make you unhappy.
Sure.
But it's like, once you get to that, like you said, say I've got all the money in the world, but then it can't buy happiness.
Right.
Because happiness doesn't come from that. Like, you might have all your problems taken care of, but they're problems that can only be solved with money. Like meaning and purpose. You can't go to Costco and buy a super big pallet of meaning and purpose.
Right.
Like, you have to have something that gives you meaning, that gives you purpose. And that's something, unfortunately, that you have to figure out. But it's like, if you're just broke as fuck your whole life and you're barely making ends meet, like, when do you get time to sit down and figure out what the fuck you're doing it for? Like, what purpose is something that it's like a luxury to think about.
Right.
You know, you're not thinking about what's my purpose, what's the meaning, and or what's meaningful to me, when you're just working so hard just to get by. So it's like, you know, I think you have to be careful when you say, not you personally, but when you say that, like, oh, money can't buy happiness. Right. It's like, it can fix, like, a lot of shit that's fucked in your life.
Yeah.
But you are going to get to a point where all those problems are taken care of, and then you're still going to be left with that discussion with yourself of, like, why do I do this?
It's all about balance. And everything in life, really, you know. But my dad always just told me, he was just like, I only need to make enough money to pay the bills and have, he always called them, like, fun tickets, have enough fun tickets to go do what I want to do. Anything beyond that, I was losing my freedom to do what I want to do. You know, I'm having to work really hard and give up, you know, all that fun stuff. Like, really, what he was just, I feel like he was always just trying to tell me, like, just have the balance, you know, between what you want to do and having enough money to live a decent life, you know.
Well, we were kind of talking about that, about like Pizel or like these big shapers, to where it's like Pizel had like his factory in Oahu, and then John Florence becomes like the best surfer ever, and then all of a sudden he's gone from being a pretty unknown dude to now like half the WSL surfing his boards. Every single dude in that surf snapper regularly wants one of his boards. Like, it's just become this global thing. But it's like, you'd be interested to know whether or not that's better than it was before, because say, like, how many, if you just work in a shaping bay for an entire week, how many boards can you shape? If you go like pretty flat out.
If I'm hand shaping, I can do 5 a day is about, that's pretty much like the maximum. I mean, you could do more, but like 5 a day would be a full 8 to 10 hour day. So you figure 20 or 25 a week would be like a huge week.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, how many boards would like Pizel be pumping out a week now?
I have no idea.
Be like a lot more than 25.
I mean, it's such a weird industry, you know, like, because it doesn't necessarily mean, I think it's just more money, more problems kind of thing, you know?
That's what I'm thinking. It's like, say, you know, you go from making 25 boards a week. I mean, he was probably, I don't know, but I'm guessing he was big enough before the John thing exploded to where he probably had like a couple glasses, a couple sanders, and so I mean, he's probably making more than that anyway. But it's like, even then, you add a couple sanders and glasses, and then you got to get a bigger factory, and then you got to buy more blanks, and then you're carrying more stock so that you can keep the turnaround going. It's like, it really is, it becomes like a machine that almost takes on like a life of its own. And it's like, do you work for yourself or do you work for the company that you own?
Yeah, I mean, so many of those guys, you get like, you become married to the machine, you know, like you get stuck in it, and you're like, you can't, now there's an obligation to produce, you know, whether it's 100, 200 boards a week just to feed the machine, you know, and that's without even making money. Where like, and you're just complicating your life in a lot of ways, you know. Or for someone like him, like, it could be, you know, he could be making 200 boards a week now, but he's like, I'm not really making that much more money, and now I got way more stress, and I'm here every day, and I don't surf anymore, and
your boards are under a microscope by like the entire world.
And he's like, oh, this sucks, you know. It was way better when I was just shaping boards out of my garage for my buddies and
again, this is
guys.
Speculating, like we don't know, but we're
I'm not even talking about Pizel particularly,
yeah.
but just in general, like, I've seen that my whole life.
Yeah.
And that was one thing I used to always tell my dad. I'm like, dude, why don't let's do our own factory. Let's do like, we could go big, you know, blah, blah. And he'd always be like, no. I'm like, what? Why? You know, you can make so much more money. He's just like, that's the thing. For him, it was always just like, you know, he just saw that, you know, after 40 years in the industry, he's seen how many people do that, and it was like, better off just staying right here and you know. So that's kind of the approach I've had, like, just try and keep it small and tight, and just focusing on, you know, everything being handmade and sort of, it's, you know, it's a small like niche really that I got, but it's easy control, and I don't know that going big I don't think in the end that it would make me happier. It would just kind of complicate my life more, you know. So for someone like the Pizels of the world, I mean, I don't know. There's so few guys building surfboards who are making really good money, you know. From the outside, you're like, well, that brand's huge, they must be crushing it. But when the, you know, profit margin of surfboards are like 30% or something, and there's, you know, it's a huge investment to have a factory and employees and all the materials, and then, you know, marketing, and to make 30% margin on a product that's like any other product. You go to China and, you know, people are making 100%, 200% margin on something. Big time. And this is a handmade, handcrafted, you know, very specialized thing, and you don't make any money. It's like a labor of love, really, you know. So I don't know. It's like, if you're getting into surfboards to make money, you're getting into it for all the wrong reasons. If you want to make $1 million in surfboards, you got to start with 2 million.
Yeah, true. Right? It's probably a lot easier to just learn some good stock market shit.
Yeah, you're way better off doing something else if you want to make money.
How was it? We talked about your like kind of growing up in Costa Rica. What was that whole experience like?
Yeah, I mean,
can you speak Spanish? Because of
yeah,
fuck yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, like my parents they actually went to Costa Rica on their honeymoon, and
is that where they made you?
I don't know.
Could be.
I never really thought about it, to be honest with you. But
it's probably weird to think about. Really.
Yeah.
There's some weird.
I try not to think
right
about
now.
that. Bad
beach,
visual. Bad
visual.
But yeah, my mom was a surfer, and my dad obviously surfer shaper, and so that's how they met and stuff. And then they went to Costa Rica on a surf trip / honeymoon, and they fell in love with the place. And then shortly after that, they decided they wanted to move down there, and so yeah, like I was pretty young, just a couple years old, and pretty much was down there almost full time, like the first 5-6 years of my life. And then
do you still remember much of it?
Yeah, I mean, well, because I didn't move away. I just, back then, like where we lived in this place called Tamarindo in northern Costa Rica, and back then it was just a little fishing village. Like there were surfers there, and there's a couple hotels, a couple dirt roads. It was really like there was nothing there. Where now it's turned into this huge, like, tourist town, one of the biggest tourist towns in Costa Rica.
How far is that from the volcano?
There's a few volcanoes in Costa Rica.
That one that we did the fox shoot at. Because I didn't really pay that much attention to like
that's
the
central. That's the center. That might have been Arenal. Was that?
No, Volcan. I think they call it.
Volcan. Well, Volcan is volcano in Spanish, but it would have been maybe. I don't know which one it was, but I believe it's the one. It's in the Central Valley, so it's up there like at the capital, near the capital.
Yeah,
Costa Rica.
I just remember we landed and then got in the fucking sketchiest van I've ever been in, and then we stopped on the side of the road, and because none of us had eaten. Yeah. And then I ate cow nuts. Deep fried cow nuts on the side of the road.
Never had that before.
The dude was just like fucking laughing at me like crazy hard. The bus driver like was the only dude that spoke dog shit English. Right. And then no one else is like, everyone's like, no, I'm not eating that. They just got like crisps and like chips and Coke and shit. And I was like, no, I'll eat like the local food. And then there was like these, I thought it was like just meatballs. And it was just this dude, and they were like laughing, handing it to me, and I
kind of were, I guess, right?
Yeah, they were meatballs, but I should have known. But I got stitched up fucking hard. And then like after I ate them, the bus driver, he could barely speak English, was like, "Was it good? Was it good?" And I was like, "That was alright." Like I wasn't like pumped on it. And he was like, "Ha ha ha, big nuts," and I was like, "What do you mean big nuts?" And he's like, "Oh, the cow, big nuts." And I was like, "Oh."
That's what I just ate.
Oh, that was fucking wild. That was pretty weird. But yeah, so I didn't pay much attention to like where we were at. 'Cause I just didn't really understand. Yeah. It was a fucking sick trip though, and the country was incredible.
It's a beautiful place, beautiful people, and it was such a great place to grow up. Like I said, where we were, it was just, there was nothing to do but surf, So spent, pretty much my youngest memories were down there, and then my parents ended up splitting up. My dad went back to Huntington, and then because it was so rural back then, there was no school. Like there was no schools really. Like I would have had to have driven like an hour every day each way just to go to school. So my parents decided, like, my mom stayed in Costa Rica, and they were like, oh, go live with your dad, go to school, and it was just better, for education wise and stuff. And so I did that, but literally every holiday, like school holiday, like the day I got out of school, I was straight on a flight to Costa Rica. And so like every Christmas and summer break, everything. So I spent, at least 4 months out of the year down there.
It's got to be still a pretty cool way to grow up though. Like obviously it sucks when like your parents break up, but
it was always good. Like my parents were always like cool, friendly and cool, and they both went on to have other partners after that were like my my other parents, and so it was great, dude. I would be in Huntington Beach majority of the year going to school and riding and surfing, and then spend my summer breaks in Costa Rica surfing. There's times when I had bikes down there and be riding and stuff, and it was rad because it was like so rural and stuff, and there's no cops or anything down there in Costa Rica. Like where in Tamarindo it was just nothing, so we could like ride our bikes down the main street and stuff. It was cool. It was rad. Like it was a best place to grow up. You just be a kid, play in the dirt, go surfing, ride bikes. It was awesome. And it was also like when you see, you grow up around a different culture, and you almost see how different ways that people live. Like people in Costa Rica, they're super happy, and like there'd be people that I know that like my friends who they had dirt floors. Like it'd be a humble little house. There'd be 6 people living in a little 2-bedroom house, and they had dirt floors, but they were the cleanest dirt floors you've ever seen. And their houses are, they're always like painted bright colors there and stuff, and they'd have a perfectly manicured lawn. And they're super poor, but they're super happy people, super positive. And I don't know, it kind of gave me a different perspective on life, almost, of like about just how to approach life or being happy. Like you don't need like a big house and a brand new car to be happy. Like I've seen these people with they don't even have shoes or anything really, and they're like the happiest people I know. But yeah, couldn't ask for a better place to grow up, for sure.
Yeah, Costa Rica was the first place that I went to that would be like a third world country.
Right.
And when we went, like that van ride all the way through, like we just went tiny roads through the countryside, and all I noticed, man, was these houses that were obviously super poor, and every lawn was so nice, and obviously it's like a tropical climate, so that shit just keeps growing and growing and growing. Every single house, it seemed like there was a guy out the front with like a machete, just like cutting down all the long grass. Then he'd be mowing the lawn, and all the kids are out the front playing soccer. And everywhere we went, it was just like really, really, really nice people. And I was taken back by that in a big way because of like how happy they seem to be. But like I was saying, like off air, when we sort of grew up in like the Aboriginal communities, it just didn't seem like people were that happy. Like, right. But I guess that with those communities, there's like a big time Western like influence in their unhappiness, if that makes sense.
Right.
Which isn't sort of the case in Costa Rica. It's like it's still their culture.
Well, I mean, so many like geopolitical different factors that go into all that, but like with Costa Rica, they really, there wasn't any like major in the history of the country. There was no like major war. There was no war really, no like real tragedy that like hit the country. They don't have an army. Like they're completely neutral. They have no military.
That's crazy.
And the country Costa Rica stands for rich coast is what it means, and it's because you can like everything grows naturally. There's fruit just growing naturally, so you could have a piece of land, have some chickens, and you could grow all your own food. So no matter how poor you were, you could like survive off just your land. It's so it's like one of those places where people were, no one was starving really. You know what I mean? Like there's no like war. There's no like, they're lucky in that like the leaders of the country have always like had the country's best interests in mind. And yeah, there's like always like corruption in some form, but all government has that. Even here, America or wherever. But so yeah, I think that's why the people are so happy. Like they've never known. Like you go to Nicaragua just to the north, and Nicaraguans are great people, but they've had so much civil war and so much bad stuff with dictators and stuff, and that they've experienced so much gnarly stuff that there is a like this element to Nicaragua that's like kind of, it's just gnarlier. Like they've
it has like you feel that unrest.
Yeah, like they've had so much unrest. Costa Rica, just their bordering country, it's like it's completely the opposite. Like it's crazy. And it's like sort of this almost magical place because of that, because it's got this like just it's been somehow avoided all the bad stuff in the world in some ways.
I didn't really think of that. Obviously, I didn't know the background, but it feels like that there.
Yeah.
We were there too. We rode through, what's the capital called?
San Jose.
San Jose.
Yeah.
So we drove through San Jose in the bus, and the soccer team had just won like a big tournament or something. It was like some South American tournament, and we drove into the city, and I was like, God damn, there's a riot. Like, this is gnarly. And I didn't know what to expect out of the country at all. But it turns out the soccer team just won. And like, man, we're riding through the
Everyone
city,
was just getting
and
wasted.
people are on the roof, like driving their cars down the main streets of San Jose. And there's like everyone on the roof with like flags, and everywhere. We ended up opening the windows to the bus, and we were just like high-fiving everybody. Like, it was such a sick experience, and it was cool. We walked through like the markets and stuff one day, but just that whole place, we went on like a radio station.
Oh, really?
And like everyone was just super, super cool. And it was cool. Just, it made me really want to go back. And it's like, even like Hawaii, that Hawaii doesn't even have that nice of a vibe.
Right.
Like, there seems like there's unrest, and there is unrest there.
Sure.
There is like a Westerners versus, Hawaiian kind of thing. But yeah, I just never got that vibe in Costa Rica at all.
Yeah, I mean, Hawaii definitely had that, where people came in and destroyed their culture, and yeah, Costa Rica somehow that just never happened really, but I think I think the biggest thing is their culture. They really like they're really progressive. Like their leadership has always been really progressive. Like, I know right now I believe they're 99% powered by renewable energy. So like,
dude, I actually read that somewhere recently. Yeah.
So they're always like right at the top of the world's happy index of being the happiest country on the planet, because of their diet. That they have one of the highest. I think at one point they had the highest life expectancy of any country. Yeah, because they work. They're out there working fields and stuff, and they're eating the food they're growing from the planet. Like from the. It's like, yeah, it's like all the way that we all should be living, I guess. In some way, you can take a lot from that place, and I know I have with how I, kind of structure my life, anyways, or I try to. But
that obviously had a pretty big impact then, like growing up there. Did you ever have times where like you'd go back to school from the like holidays, and then other kids would be talking about random shit, and you're like, damn, dude, you should see Costa Rica? Did it keep you level in that way? Do you think?
Definitely grounded me for sure. Especially I grew up in Orange County, which is probably one of the most pretentious places on the planet. You know what I mean? Like, I love it there. Like,
they're so California. Bad that people that live in Newport don't even say they live in Newport. They just say they live on the peninsula. Yeah. That used to fucking bug me so bad. I'm like, you just live in Newport, bro. Like, I get it's a peninsula. We all know it's a peninsula. Yeah. Just call it Newport.
Yeah. So, it definitely, and I don't know. It was probably the best mix I could have had, really, of two different worlds, and it was cool. Like, when growing up, like it was always separate. Like, I had California and I had my friends there, and someone would come down to Costa Rica, but I kind of had like two different worlds, and I always wanted to like connect the two somehow, like, because they're pretty close. It's like a 5-hour flight. It's pretty close, and in 2013, I finally did that. Me and a buddy, we got this 1987 Toyota 4Runner. We loaded up. We put up my dirt bike at the time on the back, and we drove all the way from Huntington Beach all the way down to the bottom part of Costa Rica.
Dude, that's heavy.
Yeah, that was definitely the best trip of my life, hands down. And probably like oddly enough, that was probably like the cheapest trip I've ever done. Like, in terms of the amount of ground we covered and like what we saw and the places we stay, But because we were just driving and camping, like we did the whole thing, it was really just costing us like fuel and food. But I got to like finally connect like the two worlds together, and yeah, that had to be like the best trip I've ever done.
Did you like document that at all, or?
Not really. I took some, just
some
photos and
yeah.
stuff, That was sort of, I had this big dream to do, like, oh, I'm going to make this big production out of it. But as you know, it takes a lot of work to do.
I was going to say, it's no joke.
We were too busy surfing and having fun, like,
to
document it.
It's a hard mix, like, even in Vietnam, or like we're about to go to New Zealand to do Crankworks, and it's like we got all this camera shit, and we're going to like make all these videos and stuff, and it's like, we sort of did that in Vietnam, but it's lucky because Toby was hurt. So I just Toby had his camera, and I started filming a bit. I was like, you know what, fuck this, Toby's filming. Like, I'm just going to ride and cruise, and if the video is not cool, it's not cool, though. Because it does take away from the experience, but at the same time, we're living in a pretty crazy time to where anybody can put something on YouTube. Anybody can document something that's special, like that trip, and it can inspire people. Like, I watched that South to Cyan film that Deus and Red Bull did, and I was just like, fuck, I need to book a trip. I have to book a trip, because it came through. Like, what you guys experienced over there, it came through to me, and I wanted to have a similar experience and take what you guys took from it. But at the same time, it's like, if you are just only documenting shit, it sort of takes away from that experience.
Yeah, that's the thing I struggle with, like, because when you go on trip and you to document all that, it's like, as you know, like we were saying, it's a lot of work. Like, it becomes like, it almost, you lose the like fun part of it. You try not to, but at some point you're like, fuck, I gotta set up the shot and then do that. It's like, you catch yourself getting jaded, like, fuck, I don't want to do this. This sucks, Yeah. But then you kind of stop and look around, like, fuck,
it's not that bad.
Yeah, not that bad. We're in wherever we are. We're in Bali. We're in.
Have you ever been to have you been to a concert recently and been like standing next to someone that was filming it, and then you don't film, but you have like a weird feeling of like, damn, should I be filming this as well? No,
I've never been one to like. I'd rather have the memory.
Yeah.
Cool. Now it's on my phone. Like, I'm almost bad at it now. Like, especially now, like, we've been documenting all these trips. Like, now I go places, if I'm not shooting something, like, I hardly even pull my phone out to shoot a photo, because I'm just like, I just want to like live in the moment and take it all in. I don't know. I think it's because we're so saturated with documenting everything now. That's like, it's almost more of a novelty to not document it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
just, I feel like
sitting there and watching it is almost, it's like, oh, this
you're
is
the
cool.
weirdo.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, we went to I went to see Usher with my missus. Got roped into that one, but actually enjoyed it. Who's a savage is fucking Lil Jon.
Oh yeah,
bro. So he was playing with Usher, and I just was fucking tripping.
Was this recently?
Yeah, like only a couple months ago. Lil Jon just was absolutely fucking out of control.
Still.
Like, stole the show, dude. It was so sick. But yeah, I mean, like, I didn't get my phone out.
Right.
I've always been the guy that like never really filmed. Like, maybe get a photo or something like that. Cool.
Right.
If you can get a cool photo. But you feel like a bit of, like, you feel like the weirdo, and you're almost compelled. You're like, fuck, should I be filming this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Am I missing something here? Because it seems like everyone sort of is doing it.
Yeah, you end up with a phone full of stuff, but what are you going to do with it?
I don't know what I mean? I've ever seen anyone be like, oh man, here, watch this concert. It's like fucking dog shit audio. And
that's
like,
the worst. You go on Instagram, you're watching someone's story, and there's like 100, videos on their story of a concert, and just like, wow, you can't even hear what it's, the music. You're just like, fuck.
Dude,
skip.
One of my buddies from Red Bull, Anthony, he's the fucking biggest legend ever, but he always FaceTimes me from concerts, and I'm like, dude, this is not a great experience for me. A, I'm fucking pissed I'm not watching Travis Scott with you right now, and B, I can't hear shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, just sitting there like, it's rad you're there, but I can't, this isn't good for me. What were we talking about before we got into that? Costa Rica
or something.
Was it, did you...
documenting it. True.
With the Costa Rica thing, did it sort of like, did you ever feel like the odd kid out because you had like that sort of such different shit going on in the holidays, or maybe you were missing like your friends hanging out in the holidays, but then at the same time, did it make you feel like comfortable with being the odd one out? Because I think to be the odd one out, for lack of a better term, is like a super fucking cool thing to be. But when you're a kid, it's not. And I feel like there's a lot of people that I know that in school, and I mean, for me, I was fucking super outcast, weird kid in school. But then you leave school, and then it's like that thing that you were the fucking weird kid for is like actually the thing that people find value in sort of down the track. But like, did it make you comfortable, or did you ever feel like a kind of a weird kid, or you couldn't relate, or you were on a bit of a different level just because of what you were experiencing down there?
I definitely was like, sometimes that, you know, you kind of like, oh, I feel like I'm missing out on my friends here, but like, we're, you know, growing up in Huntington, like, it's such a surf town, like, I kind of like here, you know, so like, almost as like, as far as being an outcast, it was never really like, you know, everyone was almost jealous. Oh, I wish I was going like on a surf trip kind of thing, you know, like it was a surf thing. Everyone like, oh, everyone wants to go to Costa Rica on a surf trip. So everyone was almost like envious to some degree, but I always felt like, oh, I'm missing out. Like, oh, you know, summer with your friends, summer break, everyone's hanging at the beach every day. And, you kind of miss out on that. But I had all my friends in Costa Rica too. So it was like, I don't know. Like, I always took it as a positive, I guess. Never felt any like kind of negative thing about it or anything, and it was always a good thing. I always came back, like it helped me appreciate home, you know, or appreciate both. I appreciated when I was in, you know, Huntington, I appreciated Costa Rica and vice versa, you know, like, so it was always just a positive thing, you know.
But it definitely like would have shaped who you are now.
Oh, for sure.
In a big way, right?
100%, you know. 100%.
Dude, how was the when you went from that, you did that trip from Huntington to Costa Rica?
Yeah.
Was it sketchy at any point?
It was crazy. Actually, people were like,
you hear horror stories, man.
Dude, there was like, people that were like, don't do it. You guys are gonna die.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, you guys are. Why would you do that? You guys are. That's a horrible idea. And we're just like, I was like, dude, I spent my whole life in Central America. Like, I speak fluent Spanish. We'll be fine, you know. And everyone's like, especially Mexico. That was everyone, because you know, you hear the media has this narrative about Mexico of being, you know, just drug lords and, you know, all that, and it does exist, you know. But drive through Compton, you know, in the middle of Compton, and tell me what it's like, you know, or anywhere in South Central LA. It's just as ghetto.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just all about how you are in the positions and the situations you put yourself in. And we just, you know, we were just going down. We were very aware of our surroundings, and there's the worst stuff we really experienced was there's a lot of corruption, like at the borders and the border crossings. It was a nightmare to go through the border crossings. Like, take us all day, and everyone's trying to like make a buck off you, and you know, like, so that was kind of the worst thing. But that was really it. Like, we had to bribe some cops, you know, because they'd pull us over for some bullshit thing, you know, and you pay them $20. And the worst, I think, was these one guys, the military guys, had pulled us over, and they had some bullshit thing that we supposedly did, and they tried to intimidate us. They like fake arrested us, intimidated us. Oh, you guys are going to jail. But because I could speak Spanish, I'm like, all right, well, what are you taking us to jail for? And this and that, you know, and eventually just kind of talk your way out of it. I think that time was the biggest bribe we had to pay. We had to pay him like $100.
Yeah, right.
But that was it, man. That was like the worst experience. If anything, it was like the opposite of everyone said it. What they said it would be. Like, oh, it's gonna be horrible. You do this, but like everywhere we went, we met rad people. Everyone was super friendly. Like, people take you in their home, make you dinner, and it was awesome, you know? I would encourage anyone to go do it. You don't even need a nice car. We did it in a 87 Toyota, you know? It was like, the thing had like 300,000 miles on it, and it doesn't really matter. You could do it in any car, anytime, any crew, if you just go do it. And if you're a genuine person and you're nice to people and you're genuine to them, like, usually you get that right back. Like, I pretty much feel like anywhere in the world I've gone, that's pretty much the same experience. Like, no matter where you are in the world, like they're just humans just like we are, usually if you give people a smile, they give it right back.
Dude, when we just did the Vietnam thing, that was like one of the coolest things about it was that we were going through like the jungle, dude.
Yeah.
Like there were places I pulled out the drone at this one town and they freaked out. Like not in a bad way.
Right.
They were just like, whoa, like everyone in this village run out. And it's like they just build it's a communist country, so they just find a place to clear some land and then they build a hut on it and then they just upgrade their house over however many years.
Yeah.
And then one of the guides was saying that like if you've lived there for a certain amount of time, it's just yours. So, and then there's like these rivers that kind of like flow at the bottom of the valleys, and then they've got their rice fields and then they just grow their rice or their corn or whatever. But yeah, so we get there and it's just this road. We're just stopping on the side of the road and like, oh, that'd be super cool to film, and then fly the drone. And these people just were like tripping out on it, but no one was ever like, there was not one bad word said to us in 2,500 kilometers on a motorcycle. And it was cool that the guides, there's like no restaurants, there's no place. Some days we got to stop at like a restaurant sort of style place and have like a proper meal, but most of the time the guides would ride ahead and go find like a nice place that could fit all of us, and they'd be like, hey, can we make lunch here? And then we'd rock up like right behind them, and then they'd start making our lunch, and we'd sort of, none of them could speak any English.
This is someone's house.
Yeah, just someone's house. And we'd like take photos with their kids, and like my girlfriend's got blonde hair, my brother's girlfriend's got blonde hair, so like everyone was freaking out on them having blonde hair. So it's like they're all trying to take photos, but like we got the craziest photos, man, of like this old dude like way in his 80s or early 90s, and he still had like his war jacket on, and he was just like had a walking stick, and they were just so pumped for us to be there. And then we'd leave all the extra food so we wouldn't take anything with us,
right?
So like they let us have their house, and then we just give them like a bucket of food, and it was already like we cooked up everything, and it was like, it was so cool to share an experience with people, but there's no common language, there's no common interest, there's no, like, we had literally nothing in common with these people, and they just opened up our house. And again, it was just the guides, like they didn't arrange it, nothing. They just like, oh, it's lunchtime, just see if we can use the house.
Imagine if you tried to do that in LA or something,
dude.
You know,
that's
like,
what we were tripping on the whole time.
Like people would be like,
they call the cops.
Who are you? Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
There's a book I've been reading. It's fucking so interesting. It's called Sapiens, a brief history of humankind, but it sort of documents all of that stuff. And like, if you think about Game of Thrones times, it was about like honor, and at your worth was sort of more attached to like your name than like your own individual identity. People didn't, like, we grow up in the West with like a bedroom, and then you can got a door that closes it. There's like so much emphasis on the individual, and your worth is determined by yourself. But in so many cultures all around the world, still, it's like they don't sleep in isolated rooms. It's not about the individual. It's so much more about like the collective, right, than what it is in like Western culture. And it's like there's still places where people don't, it's not about individualism, it's about the tribe, it's about the community, it's about the group, and less onus on like just the individual person. Because like, yeah, if you did that in LA and you like rocked up at someone's house, he's like, fuck no, this is my house, get out of here. And the same happened in Australia.
It's like kind of building off that, that's one thing I noticed from at least from American culture to, or North American culture, from Central American culture, is in Costa Rica specifically, was when, you know, you have a family, like you have the kids, the parents, and the grandparents all living in one house. Yeah. You know, so it's like in America you get to a certain age and you ship grandma off to a nursing home, and then the kids move out at 18, and it's sort of like, it seems like in Latin cultures, in Central America specifically, like they sort of take care of of their family. Like you get old, grandma moves in, she takes care of the little kids. You know, there's no need for a babysitter, and you almost have kids to take care of you when you get older, kind of thing. You know, and there's also that thing where you don't move out at 18 or whatever. You kind of people stay there until they get married. So much different culturally, but it's in a lot of ways it was so much more positive. Like there's such a stronger family element, you know, and you don't really see the whole like at least in Southern California, like everyone's very like self-centered in a way, you know, like
it's like that individualism.
Individualism,
like that's
like
what
you're saying.
we practice. Like that is our culture.
Culture kind of breeds you to focus on yourself, and
there's a thing that is weird to where it's like you get told like, oh, these kids, don't worry if they tease you, you're as special as you want to be.
Yeah,
you determine your own worth. You know your place in this world, and it's like a good thing. It gives you freedom to, you know, freedom from unjust judgment. But a lot of times, like if 10 people think you're a fucking idiot, you're probably a fucking idiot. And it's like, you know, there is these, like you can't compartmentalize your own place in society, and it's very out there to see. Like you want to, if you want to do an action that is shameful, and dude, like it goes even further now from like just the room thing, and like I'd never thought about it until I read this book, that it's about, you know, you give your kid their own room, and then sometimes you let the kid lock the door, and it's like we're like segregating ourselves further and further and further away. But like when you do that, you're sort of taking away like accountability from the group, and a lot of times the group's probably right, but it's not comfortable. But then it's like we go even further to like some fucking dipshit can comment on your Instagram and be like, that board looks like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no accountability there. Like there's no, it's like he's so far removed from that. But it's like if he was in a room with 3 of us and him, and he said that board looks like a piece of shit, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? It looks like a piece of shit.
Probably would never say that.
And that's the thing. Like they wouldn't say that. So it's like, yeah, there is this weird culture, but out of it comes like a bunch of crazy cool shit and a bunch of really good ideas. But I don't think we have balance as a culture of like, there is no middle ground between like the group, family, everybody sleeping in an open room, more of a community that is based around community. Like I know 2 people that live in this building.
Right.
And there's like 8 apartments. I don't know those people. We live, like there's a dude upstairs that's right above us right now. Don't know him.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of weird the way that we've set it up, and it's like there's benefits to it. Like I get to sit here and do a podcast with you, and this goes out to the world. Like that's a cool thing that probably wouldn't happen if there was 20 other people in the room. So it's like there's things that come of it, but it's like we said before about the balance. It's like maybe we still need to hold on to some of these things that work for people in like Vietnam and Costa Rica, or at least even go and experience those things so that your own mind is open to what those other cultures are like, because there's good in all of it still.
I mean, that's really the beauty of travel, right? You know, kind of putting yourself in those positions where you're almost, when you're traveling, you're forced to like kind of be friendly, or at least I am. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to people and make friends or whatever. Like we actually just did this trip. It was a Deus trip. It was called Death Rides a Horse. It'll be coming out later this year, and it was pretty much all the Deus crew, South of Siang cast, and we had one other buddy with us, Micah from California, and we did a trip where we rode bikes from my place out in the desert, in the Mojave Desert, all the way down to the bottom of Baja.
Damn, that's sick.
And we had this old 1960s Chevy truck, and it was kind of like, this trip was sort of, that's kind of what it was all about, like just getting back to sort of why we all started to travel, which was just that, like some of your best buddies getting together. We're going to be in a place where our phones did not work. Like they don't, like it doesn't matter. You're in the middle of the desert. There's nothing. And it's funny. Like when you're like that, you disconnect from that. It's like you have to live in the moment. You know what I mean? Like, and then you just interact with each other. Like if all 5 of us were here on the Gold Coast and we had traveled here and we're hanging here, it'd be so different than it was when we were down there in the middle of the desert where we're like having to like survive almost, and that's kind of that, dude. That's the best part of traveling for me. Like all those moments where it's you're just living right then, right there, right now kind of thing, But yeah, I'm excited for that film to come out.
It seems like Deus sort of has that mix, Like they respect the cultural significance of going to a place where there is no phones. Like they're not you don't see a Deus edit from like Pipeline.
Right.
It's like, and again, there's like phone service there. You can't ride your bike there. So it's like, I guess it goes to show you can be super successful as a company, but still hold on to some of those values, or like showcase that kind of vibe where you do hold on to some of that old school mentality.
Well, I think people like...
We want it now,
Yeah.
More than ever.
People really want... I mean, I know I guess I do. I want like authenticity and whatever it is I'm watching or buying, or... You know what I mean? Like, I feel like people are like... There's so much like sort of contrived, produced stuff that's just produced that's really contrived, and like it just feels forced and fake, especially in California. Or I could even see it here on the Gold Coast too. Like it's kind of similar to like Orange County in some ways, where it's like, plastic surgery and this and that. Like it's almost
it's super image based.
Yeah, where people now are like sort of, people want like real, like they want stuff with substance. And I mean, I would hope that we, whatever we're doing comes across like that, But whatever we're doing, we're actually out there doing, and we're just kind of trying to capture it. And so I think that's why it kind of comes across that way.
Dude, I say this, like, I mean, I've said it on the podcast before, but it's like, you look at a brand like Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah.
Billabong. Dead.
I don't know anyone that would go out and buy that, because... Again,
I think it's what you said, though. Like, it doesn't feel that authentic anymore. But when it came out...
It was authentic.
It was dope as hell. But somewhere along the lines, it become obvious to people.
Right.
That it's like, this just isn't what it was.
I think, for the average consumer that's coming in buying it, they want to be a part of the tribe, or be a part of the club, or, for them to go wear it. Yeah, I got this Deus shirt, and maybe.
Well, I think with brand, like a brand like Deus, it does give you that feeling.
Right.
Whereas, and I think that you look back in those days, like Billabong, Quicksilver, like those big box companies, like they sort of stopped giving you that feeling. It felt like it was overproduced, and it was like a group of, at the start, it's like a group of dudes that are like the young surfer dudes. They're actually out there doing it, and their finger was on the pulse, and they knew exactly what they wanted. They knew what we wanted, because it's what they wanted, and they were us in a way.
Right.
And then at some point, it's like they're 55-year-old dudes living in mansions in Torquay.
Right.
And it's like, you don't know what we want now.
Yeah.
So then the people just stop buying it.
Yeah.
And then I think that when you get a brand like Deus, it's like they're still giving people that feeling. Like when I watched South to Siam, like I wanted to do that trip. So it's like, I think the new companies now, or companies like Deus, that have the luxury of hindsight. Like they could see what happened to these companies when they stopped giving people that feeling, and it became about world titles, and it was only about like the Mick Fannings, the Kellys. It's like, I can't relate to those dudes.
Yeah.
I'm stoked to watch them surf, but there's nothing that like watching them surf pipe in a pipe master, like I cannot relate to that.
Right.
But I can relate to surfing a fish and riding a moto on a beach. Like that's cool as hell to me. And it's like, I don't know, it's like, it feels like it got super elitist in a way, and then that is what almost like alienated people. And I think like, dude, Fox went a lot like that. No Fear went a lot like that. And now Fox is coming back around, but it's like through these new different channels, like a guy, like a photographer like Drew Ruiz.
Mm-hmm.
He's like does
Drew's
photo.
a legend.
Oh, you know him?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
I've worked with him a few times.
Yeah, so like
he's a good dude.
he does this like super cool shit that it's like it's relatable.
Yeah.
Like you can sort of see yourself
Yeah, he
in his
does, like-
photos, you know?
Like commercials, a lot of commercial shoots, but it has this really like organic feel to it. You know, it doesn't feel like a commercial shoot. Like I did a shoot with them on the new it was like the launch for the new 450X for Honda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and but yeah, dude, it's like he's able to like capture it in a really like
Relatable way.
Yeah, like it just looked like, you know, buddies that were out for a ride. You know, didn't see like really like overproduced and stuff like that. And I think guys like him that are sort of nailing that are the guys that are really like you said, like got their finger on the pulse almost, you know? Like I think that's what people really want right now. Like,
well, I think too, like when it comes to your stuff, it's like you're actually out there doing it.
Yeah.
Like you can't fake driving from Huntington Beach to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
You can't fake that shit. It's not like fly in, go across this border, get some footage, fly back home for a week.
Right.
Have a crew drive your truck. Like you have to live it. And I think that they're the people that are like getting the message across nowadays.
Right.
And it's cool to... There was a time, man, and I think it's probably got to do with the internet, is there was a time when it was like it was only the TV or it was only the radio.
Yeah.
And you got what you were given essentially.
Right.
And then it just got more it was like there was competition to like who could have the craziest fucking Big Brother. Oh, well, now we're going to do Love Island. Now we're going to do The Bachelor. And it just like keeps going. That you just lose touch with what's actually real. But then I think that's what's really cool about the internet is that it's just real people. Like you look at Mark Surfboard stuff. It's like, that's just real. That's just like a fucking gangster dude that's like doing super legit glassing work on the internet. And it's like that might have got passed up back in the day by some dude that had a yes or a no as to what went in a magazine or what went here or there, and it might not have fit into that get what you given model. But now it's like it doesn't matter. Like you get what that person wants to give you, and if you don't like it, don't follow it.
You can make a living off of it too, like, you know.
Hell
that's
yeah.
what's cool. It's given, I mean, for someone like me or Mark, like a way to really make a living using Instagram or the internet, whatever, which is super cool. Like never before could you ever do that, you know?
Yeah.
Like you said, you had to have magazines or this or that, the other. But now you can do something cool and share it and have a product or something that you can sell and you can. Never before has it ever been like that, you know?
Yeah.
Where you could. I feel like that's definitely changing the way people make a living and stuff. Like people now are really able to like pursue turn a hobby into a living, you know.
Well, that's what this is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you know, so it's pretty cool.
It's
cool
definitely it's a crazy time. But I mean, I get it comes again. It's just like the yin and yang, like comes with a lot of other stuff. But
yeah, for sure.
It's still, I think that the important thing to remember though is like the cream always rises to the top.
Right.
Like you just can't fake. Like the market decides.
Right.
Ultimately, and I think that's sort of like a good thing. And there is so much crazy shit on the internet, but I mean that's sort of what it was like with infomercials. You know, that's like that's crazy shit, like a fucking shake weight. So it's like, I don't know. I still think though that with everything and with how it's changing, you still have to be doing good stuff to like get recognized. It's not like just because you got Instagram and a product, it's gonna work.
Right. And I've actually been working on this project down in Costa Rica. I think I was talking to you about it before.
Yeah, let's talk about that for sure.
We've been trying to like kind of capture what we're just saying and do. We've been doing this, opening up. It's a hotel down in northern Costa Rica, and we really, that's kind of what we were after, you know. Like there's obviously other places you can stay. There's Hilton, you know, Hilton Hotel or whatever, you know. And but yeah, with this project we're doing, it's down there, it's called Somos, and we just wanted to build a place where you could come and really like sort of have a really authentic experience, like, you know, and it's based around the things that we love, which is building surfboards and riding motorcycles, and people will be able to come down and kind of actually live that, you know. Not only can you see, you know, watch us the stuff that we've done and stuff, but we can create a place where people can come down and actually live that for themselves, you know. So I've been super like stoked on that on this project, and
when do you think that's going to start happening?
So this summer, so we'll have it open this summer, the first location.
And that's US summer for people.
Yeah, so that'll
Australia.
be July 2019. And yeah, come down, be able to ride some bikes, have, you know, stay at a rad place, ride some bikes. You could order a surfboard, be a part of it, get a handmade board by me and Mark, get in there with us.
Are you going
whatever.
and doing that?
Yeah, I'm gonna head down.
Yeah.
Dude, that's going to be sick.
Shake it up.
I'm going to have to go on a trip. I'm going to do one.
And yeah, we're gonna get you down there.
I'll be keen, dude.
But yeah, you know, that's kind of
that was like the inspiration.
That was really the inspiration, you know, just like create something like authentic where people can like, yeah, you can go buy a board, you can go, you know, you could go on like a, you know, organized tour or whatever, but like we wanted to be able to people come down and like just really like live that experience, you know. And yeah, so I'm pretty excited to get that going and share it with the world.
And so you were saying yesterday that you got Husky a part of it.
Yeah, so we're gonna have we're working on getting we should have like, you know, a whole fleet of Huskies and do some enduro type riding. Yeah. You know, and
the riding is crazy good
so
there.
Sick. Like from our place, it's all dirt roads. Like, you know, we're right in front of the beach. Go straight out. You're riding down the beach in 5 minutes from the hotel. River crossings. You can ride to waterfalls. It's like, it's amazing, you know. There's countless surf breaks up and down the coast. And, you know, we'll have surf racks on the bikes and stuff, and go down and just go explore for yourself, you know. Find a lonely peak somewhere down the beach and
just share an A-frame.
Yeah, dude. It's such a magical place, man. I gotta share it with the world.
I don't know too many people in Oz that have been to Costa Rica. Like, I feel like it's a pretty undiscovered spot for most people. Do you know many people that have been to Costa Rica here?
I don't. It's funny. I was talking to Forrest about it actually, because I was asking questions like, who holidays there? Like, is it like Americans? Is it Australians?
It's a lot of Americans, eh?
A lot of Americans, a lot of Canadians, a lot of Europeans.
Yeah.
It had like Costa Rica had a big boom in like the 90s, I would say, with like Americans, and then it sort of like kind of dropped off, I think, and people started going to other places, but it's been really big with Europeans. But for us, it's like so close. Like, it's like our version of going to Bali or something. You know? So
yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, we've got Indo, but I've never been to Bali, never been to Indonesia, because
which is funny.
Well, I was like 21 when I moved to America.
Oh, right. So you're like
that was my first overseas trip, was the States, and then I was there for 2 months, and then I filmed some shit with Red Bull, and then basically that whole crew was like, you should stay, and you could just keep filming. So then I went for 2 months, come home for 2 months, got a visa, and went back. And then that was it. So like, I've done all Europe, I've done like Alaska, all through, you know, well, not all through, but like some places in South America.
Right.
Like, I just never got to do anything in Bali or Indonesia. But I've been to Thailand and stuff now, but I've never really done the holiday thing through there.
Yeah, I mean, I love Bali. I've been going a lot, like just Indonesia in general. Like, it's been so good. I've been just building boards and riding over there, and it's a pretty special place for sure. Like, I think it's one of those few places I go and like I feel really inspired when I go there for some reason. Like, the way there's so many like so much going on that's like a lot of like creatives, I feel like, you know, and like, I don't know, a lot of just really cool stuff going on. Every time I go there, I feel like I leave there like inspired with some idea or a new approach to doing whatever it is I'm doing, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of people from here that like really get their own, that like want to get on their own vibe, and they get their own thing going, and then they like, it takes balls to get like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go to Bali for 3 months or 4 months or whatever. Like, you're gonna see a certain type of person, like a theme emerge, and they will be people that are like pushing to do their own shit, whether it's surfing or yoga or shaping or riding. Like my friend Lewis Stewart lives over there and races like the nationals. Like, that's his own lane. Like, you're gonna meet people that, you know, kind of trade this culture and the things that they don't like about Western culture to go and live that kind of lifestyle. It's like, that takes a person that is on their own level, you know.
Yeah, that's it's funny because there's so many people too that go over there, and it's the opposite of that too, where people just go over and like just
be dumb kind of Australians.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that too, yeah. But there's a
Which
lot
is
of that.
fine,
there's a lot
whatever.
of that in America too, man.
Oh, dude, totally. That's what I laugh about, because like people like come over, like my Australian friends come over to California, like, oh, talking shit, you know, like fucking whatever, you know, dude, annoying Americans, fucking
the tilted kilt in fucking Temecula, bro. I used to go there because I used to go there and watch the fights, and I'd go there and it'd be like a bunch of dudes on that like California motocross holidays or whatever, and I'd have to walk up and I'd just be like, oi boys, shut the fuck up, because I have to live here. And every time I walk into places like this, I get people looking at me like I'm you. Shut the fuck up with the Aussie oi bullshit, and just be fucking cool, alright?
Oh, dude.
Oh, it happens everywhere, dude. Yeah, but you get that with places people want to go. Can't stop dickheads from going there.
Yeah, the world's full of dickheads.
But Bali's definitely. I've never done like a dedicated surf trip. I've always done like when I did Hawaii, it was because of Dream Ride when we shot that video there. Yeah. But I got to surf pretty much every day. It's kind of actually really where I like learned how to surf.
Hawaii's awesome. I actually right after high school I moved to Oahu.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I lived there for only about a year. But
did you shape a lot there?
No, I didn't shape at all, actually.
Really? So what made you move there?
My uncle actually just invited me over. He's in the Marine Corps, and he was stationed over there at the time, and he just was like, hey, I got a spare room, come live for free. And so I actually went to community college out there for a little bit, and just studying and just surfing. And then
there's a good moto scene there though.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I got there, like I was kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna go surf, I'm just gonna not ride for a bit or whatever. And I got there, and I of course ended up meeting, you know, you say there's a big moto scene, but it's pretty small, you know. There's
well, like it's bigger than a normal person would expect.
Oh, for
right?
sure,
Yeah.
like on an island, right?
Yeah.
But there's, you know, I met the one dude in the town I lived in that rode moto, and then next thing I know, I was riding all the time. Like, they're sick riding, and they're like super, like, California's so
regulated.
Yeah. You can't ride there. They're like, yeah, we'll just go ride in the hills right here, like just out of the garage. And yeah, it was sick. I go over to Kahuku area, and we mainly rode a lot of just trail, like, you know, trail riding and stuff. But it's like really technical stuff, like kind of hard enduro type shit.
Well, it's like that red clay too, right?
Super slippery, muddy, tight,
tons of grass everywhere.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. It's sick. You're riding, you watch. You know, there's one part of Kahuku where you're like one double that you hit in the back, and you can just see the ocean. You know, you're looking at like Velzy Land down below or whatever it is. You know, it's so like, where else in the world can you do that? The only place I've done that is Bali, I think, other than Hawaii. Dude,
that South to Siam, man, that really blew me away with like how well that was done.
Yeah.
But like the riding looked insane, dude. And there actually is like a tour company called like Bali Adventure Tours or Bali Moto Tours or something
Bali
like that.
Bali Dirt Bikes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, a friend of ours, this guy Ari, he owns that, and yeah, it's rad. They have a bunch of KTMs, and you can go ride. They take a bunch of different tour options they offer, but some sick single track, cool things going up to the volcano, and you know, it's kind of fun. It's like kind of this dune area almost, but yeah, I mean, it's beautiful there, but Bali's pretty it's so populated, so there's nowhere really that big, you know, to ride. But dude, if you're there, you gotta do it. I definitely recommend looking those guys up and doing that tour.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised with how many people like pumped on moto.
Yeah.
In Hawaii, and because we were on Kauai for the shoot, and they had like a club day when we were there, and there was like,
they're diehards.
There was like kids that were ripping too.
There are a lot of kids come over to California, like because they, it's such a small scene there. So like but there's a lot of good Hawaiian kids that come over and start racing. Come over just to start racing.
Yeah, that's sick. Well, Billy, I took a dude over there to build the Dream Ride track, Billy Swap, and he still builds for Supercross now.
Oh, okay.
Part of the Dirtworks crew. But so he was so pumped on Kauai that he moved.
Oh, really?
Like I took him over there to build the track, and he still lives there now. His like daughter was born there and shit. So, but yeah, he it's actually like really cool how that all worked out, because we got a ton of shit online about like building the track and like knocking down land, and it was bullshit because there was like a track there that sucked,
right?
And then we went in, built a dope track, and then after we left, we rounded everything off so that people could ride it, but it was kind of like a private track. But then Billy ended up staying there, and he just moved, him and his wife, and then they later had a kid. But he actually went and like fully rebuilt like the local club track there, and like kind of got involved in the scene. So it was pretty rad that it wasn't something that I planned or thought of or whatever, but it's like we did that, and then after it actually did help like the community and like the whole moto scene there through like him staying,
where was that? Kauai?
Yeah, Kauai.
Yeah,
we did it right under where that like King Kong head is. Like,
I've actually never been to Kauai.
Oh, really?
I've only ever been to Oahu, which is funny because everyone tells me like all the other islands are so much better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say better. It's just like
different,
a different vibe.
For sure.
It seems smaller and more local still.
Yeah,
than
definitely.
Oahu is like, you're in Waikiki, that could be like Bondi.
Right.
There's nothing crazy. You don't get like a Hawaii feeling there, except you can see like mountains and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, you go to Kauai and it's definitely a lot more still like farmland. Well, like when you're driving up to the North Shore.
Yeah.
It's just sort of still like that. But yeah, it was cool that the moto community sort of like got something out of that film, because that was one thing we got like criticized for, was like, oh, just go there and then leave. It's like we like sold the bike to locals crazy cheap and shit. So like, because they gave KTM gave us the bikes, so then we ended up like just flogging them off to the locals. I think like some of them got like 250Fs for like $3,000.
Oh really?
Yeah. Yeah, so we like hooked everyone up. But it was way bigger than I thought. Like I went there and there was like Charlotte Greenlee was trying to get us to, like, it actually got kind of weird because I was just going to like trying to find somewhere we could build a track, and then it ended up like the whole island, like everyone that had a track or had land for a track, become like this really big like fight almost
where to build the track.
Where to build the track. And then like it was super weird because we were getting people like taking, it was just me and my little brother. My little brother was like 19 at the time, or maybe 20, and I flew him over. He was in America with me, and then I was like, hey, do you want to come to Hawaii? If I book your trip a bit extra, will you stay in Hawaii and we'll go? Obviously he'd never been, so we went over there, and then we like randomly, Mike Metzger was there, so then we ended up
in Hawaii. Yeah,
like right where we were staying. Then we run into like the people that were showing us the tracks or whatever. So then we ended up having like Chava telling us that we needed to build it at his place, and it was like, it was sick, but it wasn't this like this King Kong head thing. And then we had that block of land that had like all these hills, and then you could see the ocean like through the doubles and stuff, which is, that's what we wanted. Like we wanted that to be like the focal point of the video. And then so like I didn't have any relationship type connection to it. I just wanted the project to be good. So it ended up being that like just the small time local dude that like his kid had an 80 and they had this bit of land, and man, we had like so much like gnarly shit go down with like dudes rocking up while we were trying to build. Like it actually put me off Hawaii for a bit, to be honest. Yeah, we just had like so much crazy like localism shit.
That's kind of why I left, honestly. Like I was just like, there's a lot of amazing people there, but they're pretty. It can be for sure.
Dude, it got weird because like,
well, Kauai and specifically has really heavy localism. Like you're not allowed to film any surfing like whatsoever. Like if you've, when you think about it, like I couldn't tell you a single clip from Kauai. Like
yeah, the only thing would be like Honolulu Bay. That'd be it.
That'd be it, really.
Which is where everyone. That's like really all you know from there, right?
Yeah. So
it was like it was kind of like for me though. I was just like, dude, all I want to do is just make this video.
Yeah.
Like I'm not interested in any of this bullshit that's going on. Like I'm trying to make the video. We're gonna make a track for you guys when we leave. Like I'll give back something if you give me something. Like I'm not interested in all the other shit. I don't care about the politics of where the track goes. Like I'm not picking this based on you guys individually. Could be the biggest dickhead, but if you had the best spot for the video, like that's what I have to do. Like whether I want to or not, I have to make the best video. And then we had like one water truck driver bought a gun because like he wanted to drive the dozer, and I was like, no, this is Billy who works for Dirtworks and builds supercross tracks. I don't give a fuck that you're local. You don't know how to operate a dozer in the way that we need. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick to you, dude.
Yeah.
So anyway, he rocked up to a gun. He was in the water truck and he just like leaned at AK-47 out the side of the window.
Oh shit.
I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, this is getting way too weird for me right now. And then like Malcolm Stewart like went off and did some shit at a party that he wasn't supposed to do, and like wasn't even supposed to be at a party, and then I had to deal with locals rocking up for that. I was like, fuck, this whole thing's just getting so heavy. But it was like, I wanted to say, it's like, all this shit, like, you want to build a track and it's like local this, local that. Yeah. It's like, alright, if you can build me this track with a shovel that you make from materials that come from this island, right, then I'll pay you to do it. Right. But if you need this dozer that's made in America and shipped here, and all the driving your Ford truck that's made in Detroit, like, then your localism argument's out the window to me. Right. Like I'm not taking from Hawaii here. Like you're driving an American truck. You're using an American, like I get it, but at the same time, dude, let's call it what it is here, you know what I mean?
I mean, well, Hawaii is America, but
yeah, they just like, it got really weird to the stage where like people were saying I'm taking these jobs, I'm like, well dude, you're driving an American truck here, like you can't give me this like America argument when like this is what you're doing. I mean, which like I still do see their point of view, but it's like, dude, this isn't about that, right? You know, I'm not coming at you with this angle and trying to do this to be spiteful. This is just what it takes to get the job done.
I know there's such a big struggle in Hawaii with that too. Like where it's, you know, I have a lot of Hawaiian friends that are great people and stuff, and but it's funny because a lot of times they get blinded, like, you know, the whole aloha spirit of Hawaii is like, it's a really positive thing, you know. But in a lot of ways they kind of they lose sight of that sometimes, you know, and like what you're saying in that situation where there was none of that aloha spirit was like and present in that moment, you know, like it's all about respect, as long as you're just respecting them, kind of thing, you know. It doesn't go two ways sometimes, and that's I hate to like generalize it like that, but that is, you see that a lot, you know. And at the same time, like in a place like Oahu, like you see it happen, but it's also because there's so many people blowing in and out of the island, and they're not respecting it, and they're not respecting the locals, so they've taken like a really sort of like, well, I mean, and aggressive stance on it, you know.
And I can see when people have been burnt in the past, and I mean, someone burns me in the past, I'm probably not going to do them a ton of favors, but you know, that was the, like, that really what, dude, I got my passport stolen from my hotel. Like, they broke into my hotel room, and then like, it wasn't even a dude from Hawaii that did that. It was a white dude.
Oh, really?
And then because like he disagreed, like, again, it was just egos, like all these egos, like there's a lot of ego. Everyone wanted to be like the star of the show, and I was like, none of you are the star of the show. The star of the show is like Malcolm, Keisha, and Belle. That's it. Like, I'm not the star of this show. I just got to get the job done. But like, it was cool at the end of it, especially with Billy moving there, and then he like becomes a part of the community and is like rebuilding the tracks, and then obviously the tracks stay there, and we sold the bikes, like gave away gear, we did everything we could, and it really, like, I thought it was a cool positive thing. So like the whole time I'm there just pushing shit uphill over this like political thing that didn't want to be a part of. And really, like, I just didn't care. Like, I get it, but like, I don't want to be a part of any of the drama. Like, I'm just trying to do this thing what I think is going to be good for everyone. But it definitely left me, like, especially when my passport got stolen. Then they're like, you got to go pick it up from the police station. When you go there, you're going to get arrested. And I was just like, maybe it wasn't my passport. It was just my wallet. And then I ended up texting the dude, and I was like, keep my fucking wallet. And he's like, what about your cards? And I was like, I just sold 4 dirt bikes, dude. I was like, I got a bunch of cash right now. Like, I really don't care. And then he ended up like, I think he ended up saying, oh, it's at this place, it's at such and such. And I was like, all right, cool. Is all this really worth it, dude? But like, I mean, that sort of put like a weird taste in my mouth. And then I went to Costa Rica straight after, and I was like, oh, really? Yeah. And I was like, this is fucking amazing.
I want to rewatch those films now.
The Costa Rica one?
Well, just both of those. I don't. It's been so long since I've seen them.
Dude, I wouldn't have even watched them since they came out. Like, I've
You'd have been sick of it by the time you done editing it.
No idea how much I hated all those. I still love the first Dream Ride that we did in Cairns. That was that's my favorite thing I ever did. Because it was, like, we just signed Malcolm, and then it was in my hometown. Like, where we did that first Dream Ride in Cairns, that was like 10 minutes from where I lived my entire life. Like, my parents still live there at the time. That was like your
local track.
Yeah. Well, no, we made it from
that was
scratch.
Really?
Yeah. So it was my friend. It was actually Jackson Richardson's place. So they own this cane farm out in Aloomba, which is like 20 minutes out of town from Cairns. And then we, my buddy, literally my best friend that I grew up racing with, he did all the dozer work. Jatz's dad did dozer work. And like, just fully made it happen. Like, that shit was like, so like, talk about like, that's my Deus 10 boards thing. I had no fucking idea what I was doing. Really, when I look back at it now, I was like when I look back, that's still my favorite thing I ever did. Yeah. It's like, you had no business making that. Like, you had no business making that film.
Just but dive in head first.
But you grow from that shit.
Best way to do it.
Because like, that would have been the same thing with like the Deus boards, right? When they ordered 10.
For sure. Same kind of thing. Dive in head first and make it happen.
Was that like a pivotal thing then for your career, do you reckon?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with everything, because with the boards and then being part of the film and then sort of becoming a part of the brand after that, and then that sort of kickstarted the whole sort of the path tour I've been on a lot since then. That was like 4 years ago now, so I've just been kind of, it never stopped, I guess.
Do you have a lot of, because you're still like young, but do you have any visions of like what this all looks like in the next few years, or like say the next 10 years?
Like I'd like to keep doing it, maybe we'll see, man. To see if I as long as I'm having fun and enjoying it and traveling and it makes sense, I can make some money and yeah, I mean, I could totally see keep doing it, and with the hotel down in Costa Rica, hopefully get that off the ground, and I'll be spending some more time down there again and kind of building that and yeah, that's kind of where my focus is now, really. Just keeping it going, but kind of that other project down there, and so kind of build that. And
so when have you got or like what stage are you guys at with that right now?
So we're under construction right now.
So you're building the hotel?
Yeah, so we're building a hotel. Yeah, we're July that should be done, and we should be up and running by July. So that's kind of taken a big chunk of my focus,
I was gonna say, like, how involved have you had to be in that?
Yeah, I have a bunch of, not a bunch. I have a couple partners that actually brought me on. So one of the guys, a good buddy of mine, a guy I grew up with, and he, we just really wanted to they wanted to really add the whole surf moto element to it, and so I've sort of taken that charge of that element of it, and just trying to bring that to the brand that we're trying to build,
Yeah.
But it's funny because down there, like, it's a lot like I guess you could say like Bali or places where motorcycles are sort of
part of the culture.
Part of the culture, because that's just how, it's an affordable way to get around. And, you can actually afford to own a motorcycle and stuff. So everyone's really into motorcycles, but the whole like surf moto travel, like it doesn't really exist yet. Like it's there. Like, you see guys riding around, they're holding their board, they're riding down, go check the waves on their bike or whatever. But yeah, we're just kind of trying to just sort of insert that culture down there, and kind of build some custom bikes and just have some, build some really nice custom surfboards and offer a place where people can come stay and be a part of the whole thing, But yeah, so I think the future, that's kind of where my focus is right now, and it'll allow me to still build boards, and I'll still be able to travel and be able to do what I do there. Really, just kind of building my own little slice of heaven down there that other people can enjoy as well.
Do you have races that you still want? Because you're a fucking good rider, dude. Like thanks. You can ride. Yeah. Do you have races that you want to do, like bucket list type shit? Because you guys just did the 12-hour together, right?
Yeah. So growing up, I always wanted to race in Baja. That was like kind of my dream.
You got to do that, right?
I've raced the 500 a couple of years back, and that's something I'd like to do. Like I like just kind of just, for me, racing now is really just like going out and you kind of like just testing yourself, that kind of aspect of it. So I'd like to go back to Baja and do some more racing down there, and because it's that Baja is like definitely it combines like the whole travel element and like it's so much more than just a race kind of thing.
It's good, like it like ticks more boxes.
Yeah, and it's brutal, dude. It's so gnarly. Like I watch those guys and like some of my good friends that race and they've been successful on there, and I'm just like, fuck, like, you guys are so gnarly. Like it's brutal. Like it's fucking the gnarliest race I've ever been a part of or witnessed or whatever. And so I'd like to do that, just to check it off the list kind of thing, But yeah, just whatever races are convenient, Yeah, that's kind of how I approach it.
Do you think you'd want to come back down for Day in the Dirt?
Yeah, definitely want to come back down. I was supposed to come this year and it didn't work out. The dates ended up kind of overlapping with that Baja trip we did for that Deus film that's coming out. But definitely next year I'll be back, or I'll be
for this year,
for this coming one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you missed a hell of a.
I know.
You didn't miss much riding wise. Did you like the riding?
I think I did 3 laps.
Did you only? Yeah, I did.
I pulled out like when it was pissing down raining once. So I had my one.
Oh yeah, it was a mutter.
Yeah.
Could have been running the track last day.
Well, yeah. I did 3 as well. Yeah. That's all I did. That's all I could manage, dude. I was fucked.
Mark did because I think he did this one, and then the America's right after, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you went straight.
So he did both, and then we went there, and America was sick. Like we had just got back from Baja. I guess it would have been like a month or so after, but dude, the dirt was it had like rained the week before at Glen Helen. It was so epic. Everyone was partying and having a good time. It was like, I can't believe that was the first one I've ever been to. I've been like, I don't know what I've been doing this whole time, and
dude, I should
have been coming all these years having fun with.
Yeah, I did the same thing, man. I did that one in 2010, and there was the 1 year it was at Parla,
right?
And I was like, wasn't that cool? That was like the wrong year. Like if you were gonna get a 1, that was the wrong year to go to it,
right?
But then, yeah, like since then, I was just like, fuck, dude, you blew it. Like you lived 20 minutes from there for 5 years. You should have gone to that race. And now I like all my friends and like Drew goes out there, Garth Ballard goes out there, all the dudes from Red Bull go out there. Toby's done it now a bunch of times.
Yeah, he was there. I actually got to line up next to him in the Pro-Am race.
You fucking smoke him or what?
No way.
Dude,
it was sick to line up next to him though. I mean, that's what's cool about that event. You're lining up with, it's average Joes and pros and bros and everyone else, And
bros and hoes.
Yeah, a couple, not enough hoes, but that was the one element missing. But the best part was just racing your buddies, Like it was funny because we for the team races, we had this sort of all the Deus crew and all our buddies were.
What's the one dude from Deus that come over this year? What's his name? Or no, he might have been from Fast House actually.
Was it Matt?
I follow him on Instagram now. He just seems like a super cool dude.
Is he a rider or?
I can't remember now, dude.
Max Mandel, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. I shouldn't have bought him. I hate when I bring someone up when I like have no fucking idea who they are. I'm like, you're gonna get around circles. You don't know who this dude is. But yeah, there was one. Anyway, he came out, but I was like following a bunch of his shit. Yeah. And he was like, pretty sure he's one of the Fast House dudes.
Yeah, might have been Max.
Yeah. Okay.
Max is a good buddy of ours. He like shoots a lot of Deus stuff, but he's also shoots almost all the Fast House stuff.
Yeah, that'd be who it is. Yeah, I follow him now.
He's a legend.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, shit's gangster.
He was the one. I think we were talking about the rev off.
Oh,
like, you know, in the middle of the night, everyone just going nuts, revving their bikes for fucking 5 minutes. Dude, it was so funny. Him and his brother were just going nuts, just revving the bike, just doing. Oh, they're partying. It was classic.
Well, I was telling you guys about. I want to say it on the podcast just because like it means I actually have to fucking do it. But I seriously want to build like the go-kart of motocross bikes.
We were talking about this, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty fucking fired up to do it. I want to take. So like last year, I was saying me and my dad built. Well, it would have been the year before now. So I come home from the States. My brother's got his CRF 450. It was like a 15 model, and he raced the Fink Desert Race.
Yeah.
So he got like 20th.
I would actually like to do that race.
Yeah, that's fucking cool.
That looks sick.
Maybe I should do Fink on the fucking go-kart.
Is that a team race or is that just an individual?
That's just you. Yeah. You yourself and fucking you're nuts, dude. That's all that race is. But yeah, so I come home. Matty blew this. He went out to Fink in like 15. It must have been. And he pre-ran at like 20k because like you just get to 5th gear and you just fucking hold it on the stop.
Yeah.
And it's just literally like a race of balls.
Yeah.
And so he's going down wide open. It's just locks up. 20 minutes in. So then they just drove for like 4 days to get there. So he's like, oh, well, fuck, I'm gonna go home. But then anyway, the factory Honda boys, the Smith brothers, they gave him one of their practice bikes or pre-run bikes, and Matty raced that. But so anyway, it was like that thing just went in the shed, and then Matty got another bike, and then it just sat there for ages. So then I come home and Dad's like, oh, are you gonna get a bike now you're home? And I was like, no, not really. Like I haven't had a bike for years.
Yeah.
Like JDR, I had a 350 when Ty Simmons went from the 350 to 450 on the outdoors. They had like just a bunch of 350s, so I used to take one of those out. I did surf across couple years in a row, which is pretty fun. And but yeah, so then Dad's like, oh yeah, do you want a bike? And I was like, so then I was like, man, what if we like took the 450 and then just threw the motor out, and then we bought like an old school CR250. So then we ended up getting a 98 CR250, and then me, Dad, and a friend of mine, Rapid did all the fab work at his shop, and then me and Dad like built the thing. It was actually before the Transmoto 6 hour in not last year, the year before. And dude, Saturday morning before the race, where like I had my friends Sawley and Matty Kuiper around, and I was like started it, rode down the road, and then it just shit out, and I was like, fuck, what is it? I had no idea. And so then Matty Kuiper, he's like, oh, I had one of these things, this is what's happened, blah blah blah. So we're like fixing it, I don't know, like 12 hours before the race. Like we had to be up there. And then we get it, and my Dad's like, dude, this thing won't make a lap. Like 100%. We didn't do anything, dude. We didn't put a new clutch in it. We didn't do anything. We kick-started it once when we bought it, and I was like, cool, it runs. And then we were just like, well, we'll put it in and we'll get it measured up, and then if it's fucked, we'll pull it apart and we'll fix it. So then anyway, I was like, dude, this thing's gonna fit. And like my brother was going and getting radiators from like some dude on the Sunshine Coast. I was like, you need to leave work right now and get me these radiators, or it's not gonna happen. So anyway, made it happen. The thing, my other buddy's bike who I did the race with, his bike shit itself. So my whole team of 3 rode this bike for all 6 hours, dude, and it fucking lasted. But after building that, like it was really fun to like do something with my dad again. Especially after living away for so long. But then the Vietnam thing, we're riding these bikes and they're like Lifens, they're like some Chinese bike or Vietnamese bike or whatever.
Yeah. And
because they're like little people, like they're not, Vietnamese aren't big people. So
I know for like in like Indonesia, it's really hard to get anything over 250 cc's. Like there's some kind of regulation. I don't know if Vietnam's like that, but
it could be, yeah. But these things were like 150cc,
right.
but they were like little Harley sort of looking things.
Yeah.
But it was so sick. Like, and I've never really rode a bike on the road that much. So, I mean, maybe like 3 hours max.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we get there, and I've got my girlfriend on the back the entire trip, 2,500 Ks. But these bikes were sick because the whole group was on the same bikes. So, like, no one had an advantage, no one, you know, but everyone could hold them, just fucking wedge. So we're going up these, we did one day where it was 2,000 turns. So just like that, like I got sick of it.
Yeah.
It was just so, just these perfect turns up and down hills, like through these mountain ranges. It was the most fucking stunning day. Like one of the most picturesque days I've ever been of anywhere I've ever been in the world. And just constant turns. But it was so cool because like the bike handled well, but it just was a roach. Like it was so slow. So we're just like, just absolutely feeding these things just all the way through every gear, up these hills, down these hills. And it was forgiving. Like I fully washed the front one day. I hit a bit of diesel, like full lock, had to put my foot down, front wheels just sliding off the road, and saved it. It's like if I was on a legit bike, like I never would have saved that. So then it made me think, after building and the good thing is like everyone was the same speed really. Like, you know, you kind of get dudes that would be better at cornering or whatever, but like really.
Have you seen the Deus event called Slidetober? I think I was talking about it before, but
yeah, I heard you talking about it a bit.
But yeah, so it's every October. It's a 1 day surf, 1 day moto. It's like 2 days moto. 1 day is like motocross. 1 day they do like a rally, like a mini rally type thing. And they had flat track and then surfing. It's like a combined score. But everyone has to race these little 150s. And they're all super shit. Yeah. And you can't take it serious because it's like, you know what I mean? Like everyone's like on this shitty little bike. Yeah. So it's extra fun that, you know. It's,
and it like levels the playing field. It levels
the playing field, you know. And you can't take yourself seriously on this thing.
So that's pretty much what Vietnam was like. But it was fast, and the key though is it was fast enough to still go fun. It was fast enough to have fun.
Because you're holding it wide open. Wide open. Feel like you're going fast.
But I mean, we were still doing like 80, 90 Ks through turns and stuff. But like wedge to do it. Yeah. You know, it wasn't like you could just roll off and then you're on like a Super Duke or something and then you roll the throttle on and you're at 130, 140 like quick. So that got me thinking to where I was like, well, me and Dad built the CR, so why don't we do the opposite and buy like, I'll get like a brand new, or like not brand new, but maybe like a 15 or 16 KTM 250F frame or like full chassis, just and then put like an XR 200 motor in it and like an air cooled 4-stroke.
We should race it at the next 12 hour.
Dude, I would seriously if us three want to do that race.
Is there one? There's like a 6 hour, 8 hour or something, right? Coming up pretty soon.
The 8 hours in a couple of weeks is 6 hours at Conondale. Yeah, and that is a sick event, but I really want it to rain because like the fucking dust, that track gets so brutal, bro. But yeah, like, well, dude, you can race it at Day in the Dirt.
That's right. That's what we should do. Yeah, that'd be sick.
We should do.
That'd be funny
because they do like. Do they do a 3-man team race there?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, right. I don't know what they do here, but definitely the one in California, they did a bunch of team races.
That thing would ride all day on one tank of gas too. Like we wouldn't have to pit stop. But I seriously think that like, say you had the 15 model KTM chassis.
Yeah, it would handle like a dream.
It would handle like a dream. And it would be so, like it wouldn't be crazy slow. You'd still be able to jump everything.
Right.
But I think that's not ripping your arms out. You could probably ride it all day and not get tired. I think it'd be like the funnest bike I've ever rode in my life.
That'd be fun.
I'm pretty committed to making that happen.
We built these XR 400s for that last Baja trip.
Are the motors good in those things, you reckon?
Yeah, super good. I mean, they're just bulletproof. You know,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Air cooled. They got like the 400s are like they're fast. Like they're fast enough. You know, like
that's what I'm saying. Like
they don't rev up real fast. Like they're a trail bike, really. But they're bulletproof. You just hold the thing wide open for hours and hours and just like a tractor, just keep going forever.
Gets me excited.
These are so fun to ride. Things like a Cadillac. You know,
that's
it's
really
just
what
like
it is, eh?
through all that. You know,
There's room for a body in there.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking so smooth.
So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think we might need to try and make that
That'd
happen.
be fun.
I got all the shit to do it. I just gotta
get the bikes.
I wonder how much an old XR 400 is right now.
I don't know.
Even like a DRZ 400 or something, just any like air cooled piece of shit that's like,
yeah, you could get. I mean,
get FMF to make like a
grand.
sick pipe for it.
You could. I'd be down with it.
Or just keep it super dog shit.
It'd be like the $1 million motorcycle that's actually shit.
Yeah, but I think it'd be like, I just want to see Berriman just absolute like turn up, like a super sick turn up, but it's like an XR 400 on the limit. Like it sounds so fucking weird. Imagine him doing like that farm jam jump over in New Zealand, just like the big Oppo fucking turn down thing. It'd probably be like, I wonder how heavy those motors are compared to like a new motor. There's not heavier. A lot
but
in
but
them,
you're getting rid of, you know, the radiators and stuff, which don't weigh a lot, but you know,
true.
Getting rid of some of that.
Dude, that's like, will be so weird to have a bike that just doesn't have radiators, but it's got radiator shrouds.
That's what I was thinking. Like, how would you do that? You know, because
you just build like a
brace.
Just build a box. Yeah, you just build a little box.
What was the
room for sponsors, bruh?
What was the off-road ledge dude's name that we were with at the 12-hour?
Ballard.
Ballard.
Jeff Ballard.
Ballard.
Jeff Ballard's dude. I need to talk to him about this bike. He'd make it happen.
You should.
He wants to come on the podcast. I want to get him on the podcast.
You got to get him on.
He's a fucking.
So we
lord.
were racing with him. So we had Transmoto. You know, they set us up with a bike, and we were on the Transmoto team, and they had the Transmoto has-beens, which was Jeff Ballard and some other guys that I can't remember their name at the moment, but they're all legends. And then they had the loose ends.
Listen, I'm gonna give Chook a microphone.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
And so I was like, oh yeah, who's this guy? I'm like, I see this guy's got a TTR 225 like trail bike. I'm like, oh, who's this fucking guy? And it's little did I know it's this guy Jeff Ballard, who I didn't really know who he is, but apparently he's like full Aussie legend. And he's out fucking ripping on this TTR. And then he actually he went the other way. He put TTR forks on his KTM. So he had like a new late model KTM with TTR forks on it.
Yeah, the dudes at MX store, because like I think they sold.
Yeah, he's somehow affiliated with those dudes.
They bought Ballards or something like
right.
that, and then sorry to everyone listening, but we're gonna get Chook on. Everyone's like, what the fuck is going on?
But yeah, I was just cracking up. Like it was such an old school like dude thing to do. Like, oh yeah, these forks are great off my 97 TTR. And he's got them strapped up to his brand new KTM. He's got like 20-year-old forks on the thing.
But he rips.
And he's ripping. Like he would have blown by half the field, and he's like more than that. And he's like 60, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he of like the boys had said like he really wants to come on the podcast. He's like a great dude to get on.
Oh, he was a cool dude. We, had a couple beers after the race, and yeah, dude, legend.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got tales to tell.
Oh, I would imagine. Yeah, but I think they're saying he's like he won a GNCC championship or something in America. I don't know if that was right.
6 of them, man.
6 of them? Holy shit.
Yeah. He's won that many.
Oh no, it was 6. I think 6 Australian Enduro champ, 6-time Enduro.
He's won a lot. Just plug that in the bottom of that, and you should have a microphone.
Testes, 1, 2, testes.
Oh, hang on. Go again.
1, 2.
Oh, he's on.
There, yeah, we're on. We're on.
Got the Chook in here now.
Chookadow Dundee.
So everyone, this is Mark, aka Mad Chook. So yeah, we've been talking about you, and
I know.
Yeah, we're just like, I know. Yeah, we put baby in a corner for this one, but I didn't have enough cameras, not enough rooms, not figured it out yet.
I started getting at it, and I lost track of what I was saying earlier. But when we were at Day in the Dirt, we kind of had the Deus teams, and then we ended up having 2 teams. We had, which became known as the A team and the B team, and
oh wait, hang on, 2 seconds. I gotta stop this for a sec. Chook's live. Anyway, Chook's mic is now working.
Chook's mic's live.
We're improvising on the fly.
It's pretty much how I go about my whole life. It's on the fly, so this is how.
Full Gypsy Tales style too. Bring it up close too when you talk it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there he is.
I don't know where I am. All right.
I don't know what to do with my hands. But I wanted to get both you guys on here together, but it just couldn't work out. And then you're gone tomorrow, so Chook's always gonna be around. We can get him on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like we just created a team for Dan the Dad.
Yeah, we should. Chick's coming off the B team, so if he came up.
Oh, you think
on the Gypsy Tales A team?
Let me come to the A team. Yeah, right.
The Gypsy Tales A team.
So Factory Forrest over here has bored his way onto the A team. Bumped me from A back down to B, reckons.
Who's a better rider out of you boys? Who goes quicker? Chook doesn't want to say him.
With the wind behind him, he might get me.
The trophy.
I think he stays upright more. That's his advantage.
Yeah, the first place trophy that the A team got, I think determines who's
first.
Here we go. Rider.
All right. So I like to keep my third place trophy up on the shelf, where I can see it, just to remind me that there's cheaters out there that like to cut the track when no one's looking. Just remind me to work harder next time.
Yeah.
So how was all this animosity at the 6 hour, the 12 hour when you guys actually had to work together?
Oh no, it was good.
Well, I hear you've got the old yard sale first lap going on.
No, so I did the first 2 laps. Or no, our other teammate, this guy Dave Gilmore, I think his name is, and he did the first lap, brought it in. I did the next 2 laps, and I came in. It was the track's really tight. It was super dusty, like really tight. All single track pretty much. It was a sick layout, but it's really technical. So I came in and we're fired up. Like Transmoto had supplied the bikes. We had pretty much brand new. We were on a brand new Husky. And
what did you ride? Did you ride a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke?
We started out on a Husky FX 350.
Yeah, I literally rode that bike. You
probably
guys
that
rode
exact
in
one.
At the 6 hour last year. And then you had the 300 as well.
And then
it
was a 250 TPI 2-stroke,
cool.
the injected one.
Yeah.
That one was actually the best bike. But yeah, I brought the bike in, and the thing's like pretty much brand new. Like I don't think anyone's even dropped it yet. I'm like, all right, Chook, it's pretty tight out there, just kind of slower is faster, He's like, yeah, it takes some. I'm like, I'm like, we got 11 hours and 45 minutes to go. Dude. Slow down.
Yeah, well, the problem was I had to wait. I was the third guy to go out, so I'm standing there waiting anxiously, I'm just getting psyched up. Yeah, by the time Forrest has come in, I'm just like, give me the bike, take your hand, get off already, give me, hand it over. And he's like, slow as fast, it's pretty rough, and I'm like, took off. I got about a half a lap in and just yard sailed the thing, carted it. I was like, as soon as I carted it, because it was brand new, this Husky, it was 2019, and I yarded it and flipped the thing, and then it was upside down the bush, and I was creased on the ground, and I was just like, oh, what have I done? I was thinking, I hope this thing's not folded, because I felt like I was probably about 10 minutes in already. That was about all I'd done.
And there's no way of getting back either.
Yeah, that was what I thought too. I was was thinking, cause straight away I creased myself. I was so sore, and it was like I had a moment where I was like, all right, how do I get back to the pit from here? I don't even want to do this. I'm over it.
And it's not like you know where you're going. You literally have no idea where the fuck
30-minute lap
you
times.
are. Yeah.
You're out there.
Dude, I did one. I did the 6 hours. Me, Andy Wiggin from Transmoto, and then Trent. And Trent, I get there and I missed. I knew that they were going to do the first 2 laps, and I was over with Maddie and them. So anyway, I was like, I wonder why I was so tired. Oh, I just got back from Thailand. So I just did that fight camp in Thailand, and I wasn't going to do the race at all because I just trained for 12 days straight, 4 hours a day. So I was fucked. And then Andy called me. He's like, well, if you want to ride with us, you can ride with us. I was like, I got it. I'll just go ride. So anyway, I got up there, passed out on my swag with I got my swag off the top of the roof of the car, put it on the grass, laid on my swag, and I slept for 4 hours. I was completely roach. So then I slept.
We had pretty much the same approach to it.
Yeah.
Got there the night before.
Fucked.
Yeah, fucked.
Yeah, well, you
driving
guys,
all day.
You guys, you just went late, eh?
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I sleep all night, all day, all morning, and then I think I get up super, super late. And so by the time I get there, my teammate Trent on the first lap had busted his foot, and he like took his boot off, and it was just black, dude, like black, massive. And he's like, no, I don't know if it's broken. I was like, that's 100% broken. Yeah. Like, you cannot go back out and ride. He was like gonna go ride again, and then he ended up like, I think the painkillers sort of wore off a bit, and then he was like, yeah, I think it's actually pretty cooked. But yeah, so we did the exact same thing as what you guys did. One dude down, like pretty much instantly.
Well, I toughed it out for the rest because
you rode, but then Kim's son dislocated his shoulder.
Kim,
Tim, right?
we lost Kim's son.
Yeah, he blew his shoulder out his first lap in. So then I ended up picking up the slack. I think. How
many laps would you have done?
I did 6.
Yeah,
and those guys did 4.
Yeah.
So it was like about 25 to 30 minutes is what my lap times were. So yeah, it was a solid day, and it was so rough, so dusty. You were like, dude, you couldn't see. You know what I mean?
Dude,
like
yeah,
you couldn't see like your hand this far in front of your face. Like it was so gnarly.
But that race, they always get rain. Like that's the one I've always.
That's why we went down all the way down there, because we seen the videos like, oh, it's like chocolate cake every time.
Like because they hit us up, come down like Transmoto. I was like, hey, want to come into this? We'll get you in a team and stuff. And they're like, check the video out. And we seen it. And we were just like, fuck yeah, like, this looks done. Yeah. And then we got there and they're like, oh, I haven't had rain for
4 months.
4 months. And we're like, it's still gonna be sick. Like, how could it be so bad? But it was just dusty. Like.
It's sick though, like that's the kind of race where you really earn your beer at the end of it. And it's like first fucking sip of beer, dude, after a Transmoto race is just like, if you could bottle that feeling, like you got the beer and then that feeling, you're like, I'm drinking that. Dude, I'm an alcoholic at this point.
It was so funny because all day it was like pretty much just going like, fuck, this is so grueling. Like, dude, like the thought of like, having to do another lap was like, fuck, Forrest is almost in. Like at one point I was sitting down, I looked around, I was like, is Forrest out there? Like, fuck, I'm next. Like, this is bullshit. Like, just thinking, all right, I've just got to mentally get myself through this lap. And then the second the race finished and I knew I didn't have to cut any more laps, it was like, I instantly was like, how sick was that day? Like, what a fucking epic like, dude, like, so pumped. Like, truck was sick. Like, the minute I knew I didn't have to do another lap. But when I was doing it, it was just like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Dude, I get that. I almost chase that feeling now. Like, that dream ride shoot in Hawaii, like, I just complained about it.
Yeah,
for, all the fucking shit that went wrong.
Right.
Literally, the minute I fucking boarded the plane, I was like, I'll do all this again right now.
Yeah.
And now I sort of like chase that shit. I really think that's the secret.
Yeah.
Like what you just said there, you've got to go find something that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks so bad in the moment, and it's just complete and utter fucking torture. But the second that thing's done, you're just like, holy fuck. That was lightning in a bottle. I have to do that again. But like, you know who else? Like Rob from the guy that owns Knobby Underwear. They're like one of our main sponsors.
Right.
Dude's a fucking savage, bro. I think he said he was leaving now to go to do this marathon, and he just runs marathons. And then he's like, oh man, sorry I haven't spoke too much this week. Like, bloody running's just been killing me. And he just sounds. I'm like, why would you run? But it's the same thing. Like he does these fucking 50-kilometer running races, and at the end of it, it's like that's the feeling you get. And even Vietnam was like that. Vietnam, we're doing these rides.
Say hardships are the essence of the traveler's tale. It
it's
really
fucking
is
true, bro.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like I was sitting there, and like we had one day where it was just piercing down rain. It was fucking cold. I couldn't see anything. There was like the sketchiest roads, like the sketchiest people, buffalo just walking out in front of you. And I'm like, I'm going to die today. But then I'm like, and I'm thinking like, this isn't a holiday. This is ridiculous. But then it was so worth it. By the time it was over, I said to Jason, the guy that owns the tour, he's like, how's it all been? Is it what you thought it was going to be? I was like, dude, I got one regret. And he's like, what's that? And I was like, I regret that I couldn't be the level of friends I am with you guys now at the start of this trip. Like that's the only thing that could have made that trip better, because we all went through that same shit together. And you boys will probably have that now with the 12 hour
for sure.
That experience. And would have had it with, down the dirt left you salty, but But no, it's like, but yeah, it is like you get that, you know what you went through was like actually legitimately fucking hard to do.
But that's the thing. It's like if it was easy to do, it's like not worth doing. You know what I mean? It's that.
That's what like might be worth doing, but it's not worth as much to you.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like it's because it's so grueling. It's like guys who like Toby Price that do Dakar. You know what I mean? Like because it's so grueling. That's what makes it so good to do it. To finish it and get it done. I was so pumped that we actually made it through the whole day, like after I ate shit straight off the bat. And I was like, I was just like, I was hurt and I was like, all right, I just wanted to keep cutting laps anyway because I was like, I wanted to be part of the team when we got to the end, you know what I mean? I just wanted to be like, make it to the end, even though I was hating it at the time. But as soon as we finished, I was psyched, yeah.
He's still trying to get that A-team spot for next year.
Hey, well, you're on the Gypsy Tales go-kart A-team. We need to make... Dude,
no, you know what it was? Is that the day before they showed Paying the Price, Toby's film, and everyone's just like,
everyone was psyched.
I'm going to race to car, you know? Dude, like... Everyone, that film has a way of like getting you like psyched, like, you're all inspired, you know?
Yeah, dude.
Everyone's going out there trying to race, and then an hour in, you're like, fuck.
I don't want to be Toby anymore.
I don't want to be Toby anymore. Yeah.
I know, that's what I was thinking out there. I was like, how the fuck do enduro riders do this? Like, constantly all year round. I'm just like, this is so brutal.
Dude, that's like,
in saying all that, how rough and bad the track was, the guys put on a sick event. Like, it was epic.
Fuck,
like,
they are the
it
best
was dialed,
in Australia.
and the amount of effort and work they put into it, it was dialed. There was the only thing that they couldn't control was the fact that it hadn't rained for that long, you know what I mean? Right. So everything else that they'd done was dialed. Like, the whole event was fun. I guarantee you, even the hurt guys out there were coming in saying how good it was. Like,
dude, Mackay is sick. Like the Gun Valley one. I want to try and do that one. I did it last year. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off. But that was cool. Like, the track was perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it was the same. They didn't really have a lot of rain, but do you ever remember watching like Gun Valley on like motocross, like nationals and shit back in the day? It's like a sandy sort of track with like, it's like a white sand, but it's all up and down hills.
No, I don't know the one.
Oh, dude,
it's not the
best track.
Goanna track. The Goanna.
Nah, that's it. Coonabarra brand.
Oh, Coonabarra.
But yeah, I think Gun Valley is like top 3 tracks in Australia.
Yeah, right.
Like, hands down. And I used to race there as a kid. It was the fucking best, dude. But so you do like a full lap of the enduro track, and then at the end you hit the motocross track, and like that, it's all watered. It's just prime time, dude. Like, I was telling you guys yesterday, like, my bike nipped up over the finish line of the motocross track there, but that lap was the most fun I've ever had on a motorcycle. Like, after, because I don't ride at all. Like, I ride Day in the Dirt and then a Transmoto event every year. So, like, I did the first lap, and by the end of it, I was like, all right, I got a bit of balance back, and I'm starting to, like, I get the feeling back, and then I just hit that track, and I've rode it a bunch of times. Like, I knew the track, I could just kind of send it as fast as I could straight away. Man, that lap was, like, perfect. That was the best feeling I've ever had on a bike. So that event was so good, and that track was so good, that when my uncle... No, I wanted to do a lap with my uncle because he raced it. They all come up from Cairns. But I did it with Sam Moore and JB. And I think that Sam come in, or maybe it was Guy Streeter. He come in right after the finish, the Checker Lake. So I just grabbed a bike and went out with my uncle so I could do a ride. That last lap was just like insanely good. It was so fun. And because I guess I'd rode my way into like feeling good at the end of it.
I was feeling like at the end of the 12 hour, I was actually feeling pretty good. Like, I was...
It's weird how that works, eh?
Like, I ride a lot of that kind of stuff at home. Like, I'll race a lot of, like, you know, it's kind of... We call them just off-road races, but, like, they're sort of enduro, I guess you could say. But I love that, like, punishing yourself, like the suffering, you know? Just because afterwards you just feel like, I just accomplished that. Not that you don't suffer in just straight motocross, but it's so different, you know?
Yeah, it's a different vibe,
different kind of suffering, you know? But, I was feeling so good by the end of it. I was like, oh, it's over. I was happy it was over, but I was kind of like, oh,
I can
go another lap.
Yeah, well, we definitely need to do Day in the Day. It's no coincidence that the 2 best events of the year are the Transmoto.
Yeah, they run
and the Day in the
people.
Dirt, and it's like the same people run. It's like
Yeah.
they just fucking get what's going on, you know. But yeah,
I think the beauty of both those is like they like keep it from being too serious. Well, you know what I mean? Like it's like if you're out there just trying to win, you're kind of a dickhead. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Even though like everyone at the end of the day, boys will be boys. Everyone wants to win. But it's like it's a non-stressful, like no pressure.
Dude, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like they did a foot race to determine the starting position.
Yeah.
Which is like takes everybody down a notch. You're like, oh yeah, we can't take it this serious.
And it is cool, like that it's the everyman thing. And Day in the Dirt has that as well. Like, you know, our pits was like Toby, and then it was my mate Ives.
Right.
At Day in the Dirt, who like just started riding, and their bikes are right next to each other. Neither of those dudes think they're better. And man, that's like, I get like a ton of shit on YouTube about the like the way I talk to Toby and stuff. But I'm like, you guys don't get that like he's a part of our crew, and like no one talks to him like he's Toby Price.
No, he doesn't seem like that
and
kind of dude.
Yeah.
In the small encounters I've had with him, he seems like just a normal dude. You know?
Yeah, and
I think most guys are really when you get them up behind.
But the problem is that in most events never give you that access.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then when people, it's so rare that you get that access that when you do, you think you've got to treat them some kind of way.
Yeah.
But it's like that's not the way it rolls. And you know, I get shit for like, oh, you know, respect that you're talking to a legend. Yeah, like he's a fucking legend what he's done, but it's not on a day-to-day. Like he's not winning Dakar. He's not winning Dakar every single day. Like 360 other days out of the year, he's just a fucking dude that always raids the fridge.
Yeah,
like it's super. You know what I mean? But it's like it's cool for an event to treat people in that same way.
Yeah,
and I think that creates like a really good culture. Like you were saying, the fucking KDM boys at one got like hammered.
Oh,
and same as the Husky boys.
They were so hammered. They were trying to get them to turn the Jennies off, and they're like, no, like cranking the music back up. They were that terped, and then like they were like, it's all good because they had like a raffle at the start of the event,
a charity fundraiser.
A charity raffle, and money went to charity. But what you got for it was like a 2-minute head start, or whatever. Yeah. So they were like, we got 2 minutes on the Husky guys. It's all good. Like, no, just knocking back drinks, and I think they end up bringing it home still.
Yeah.
But, dude, they were hammered, and it was like.
But that's like the best shit, dude.
But like that's
the best shit.
Yeah, like it was just like they knew. Like, if they didn't feel like it, they were just like, they were gonna stop anyway. You know what I mean? So. But like Andy that was running it, he was saying like, he goes, there's no rules to it, but it's kind of like, you know, don't make a team of 4 guys that all want to win it. Like just put 2 fast guys on and put 2 shit guys on. Like, you know, in the spirit of the event, don't be a dickhead. Really, is all.
I don't think I've ever even looked at where we've finished.
Yeah,
I've done it a bunch of times.
I think we went from like 29th to 129th in like one lap, and everyone's just like, whatever.
That's my lap.
You think you have it? Yeah, you think you have a shot at it for a second. You're like, maybe we could. And then next thing you're like, fuck.
Dude,
where's the beers?
Funny. Yeah, it's like it's the way it should be, dude. Have you
a race where you can go out and race, but no one really cares about winning is like the best shit.
Dude,
ever.
like Day in the Dirt in the States. Like, Toby Price was starting at he was taking the last row, you know what I mean? Because they'll give him like 30 seconds, each row goes like 30 seconds. He was starting at the very last one, even though the pros went first, like just so he could fly through the fucking.
He was just
like,
giving
it wasn't even
about
winning it. It was just like, he was pretty much winning them all anyway. But like, you know, just nothing serious about it. He just wanted to, you know, let everyone go and fucking ride. He probably didn't care if he came.
He would
50th,
not give
like,
a flying fuck.
Yeah.
What if you want it? Actually, knowing what he's been through, winning that stuff, it actually makes it fucking hard because then he's got like shit he has to bring home.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first year he won it, I was living at Josh Strang's house, and then Toby was staying there, and then he was like, he just left the fucking scooter. Like he won like this custom painted Troy Lee design scooter. He's like,
a scooter.
Yeah, it was gangster too. And then he got like a shotgun, couldn't bring that home. So it's like, even if he does win, it's like he can't even fucking bring it even home.
Yeah.
That was like funny with Vietnam because obviously his wrist was jacked, and so he sat in the dude. It was fucking sketchy. He was sitting in the van. This Vietnamese dude was just a straight gangster. Like could fucking handle Colin McRae back in the day. Like, so they got the van, and I'd ride at the back with mum and dad a couple times, and so you'd stop every like hour or whatever, right. And then you'd like that whatever like a cool view was or whatever, they'd just stop, photos, put the drone up, fuck whatever, have a drink. And the van, like we're on the bike and we're like passing cars and like all these ranges and shit, and you'd be like, we'd pretty much dust whatever car, or like especially like an old Toyota van. And this motherfucker would roll up like 35 seconds behind you every time. And I started saying to Toby, I was like, dude, how fast is he going? Because like everything's a blind turn and we're cutting every turn on the bike because at least you can react a bit. And Toby's like, bro, this is fucking gnarly. Like this guy is so good at driving these roads. And then there was one bit where even I was like I could feel my front brake starting to go, and then the back brakes are drum brakes, so you can't really feel shit there.
Yeah.
But it felt like my rear tire was getting like hot and soft. Like I was starting to come around. I was like, whoa. I'm like, fuck this. We're heating up. Like we're on the brakes and the turns are like tight. There's like just so much weight going down. Anyway, Toby shows me. He's like, dude, check this out. And he's filming the driver get bottles of water out of the esky and just like pour them on the front brakes of the van because like they're just like the whole thing's steaming up. So homie's just pushing it, And then on the last day, well, the day that it rained, Toby was just like loving it. He was just filming everyone. It's like, oh yeah, this is for all you fucking bastards when you're at home texting me, good luck tomorrow, and I'm sleeping in some fucking dog shit little deal, and I've got like a broken wrist in Dakar. He's like, it's so good to see you guys be cold and suffering on a bike when you don't want to be. But that trip was like, because it was 10 days, which is what Dakar is.
I mean, fuck. This is the first year I really watched that race, like followed it.
Gnarly, bro.
I mean, I've always seen, like, known what it is and stuff, but like, I don't even know if I'd want to do it. Like, I like that kind of shit.
I don't even think Toby wants to do it.
I'm just like, fuck, like.
Yeah. Oh, you know, well, the only guy who wants to do it is the guy who wins it, and that's only at the very end. Like, he's probably like, yeah, stoked I did that. But then, like, when it comes to roll around again, they feel like, fuck, I don't want to do this to come second.
Dude,
like, everyone else in that race would just be going, fuck.
Yeah, even getting on the podium of that race would be like, fuck, why did I even do this?
Yeah.
No, I suppose you still get paid money.
Yeah, well, and it's just kind of like
it's a good achievement,
you know, just to say you finished that's a fucking.
For most people, I think the goal would be just fucking finish.
Dude, so many people go over there and they can't finish.
Yeah.
Like even Benny Brabeck. What's his
Ricky
name?
Ricky Brabeck.
Yeah. Like, fuck, he got jacked again this year.
Dude, I know. I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, it's like, that's a brutal race, man. Even a factory Honda can't finish that thing. But this year wasn't even like that hard.
There was some like sus stuff that went down with his bike. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, little bits and pieces.
Like
there's always weird shit.
There was shit like where suspension was all like someone would come and change all the settings overnight on the one night, and then stripped out like the clickers and stuff. And
there was that like Toby he ended up not wanting me to talk about it, but there was like a guy that he like caught cheating and shit.
Really?
Yeah, and then like he said something, and then he was getting all these crazy messages, and like it was like fucking it gets like super gnarly because like South Americans want South Americans to win.
Right. Well, that's what Ricky was saying. Like I didn't speak to him directly, but I heard like he was telling people there's some fucking shit. Like it's kind of a weird thing. Like
it's its own little deal.
Yeah, like where they'll change rules mid race and stuff like that, and that's a real thing.
Well, dude, last year Toby rode. There was like some stage that they cancelled the stage because it got like crazy hot. But Toby missed. Like he was so far out in front that.
We were talking about that.
He missed the point, like the waypoint.
Where they stopped the stage.
Yeah, so they stopped it, and then he just went, and it's like, sorry. And then
do it again.
Nothing. Like, so he had to ride like, it was an extra 260 Ks or something. And like we were riding about 260 Ks a day. So he rode an extra what we rode in just one day. And I was just like, fuck all of that. But they just change it. And then they're like,
instead of going like, oh, you finished the stage, or like that, whatever your time was, they were like, no, you got to run the stage again with everyone. Like, what the fuck's that about?
And then not to mention, like, you can't change a motor in Dakar. Like, if you change a motor, you get, you get a 20-minute penalty. So, like, you just put an extra 400 Ks. But he was saying, too, that because like the race was shorter this year, but because it's in sand dunes, it's like a 3-to-1 ratio. So like 1 kilometer of like normal riding is 3 kilometers in the dunes.
Sure.
Right.
So like just the extra work that gets put on those bikes and shit in the dunes is just
for
fucking...
sure. The sand on the bikes is so hard on equipment.
And then when you could see it in the video where he takes off when that Quintanilla crashed, and you just see it's just like he has to just fucking feed it just to get the thing going.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine how like those bikes are heavy too. Like that
especially
shit
full
would be
of fuel.
Yeah, that shit would be brutal, dude. So imagine like the feeling that we get from finishing a Transmoto.
Yeah, they're doing that every day for 2 weeks.
I know.
Dude,
yeah.
every
Literally.
day for 2 and then sleeping on the fucking dirt. Yeah, that shit. I don't think I'll ever do the Dakar.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I
We've been
know.
just walking around the couple days after the Transmoto. We've been going like adding hours to the Transmoto. Like now it's the 36 hour just because we're hobbling around, like still feeling the Transmoto.
We're still
like
going.
Transmoto 48 hour now. Like, oh, I'm still fucked up.
Oh, that shit's funny. It kind of makes me want to do one again though.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
That's-
I'm
yeah.
already looking at them. I'm like, hey, when's coming down?
Yeah,
At the
so
time, I was like, why would anyone want to do this?
fucking race is stupid.
Yeah.
The guys that are Ironmanning it.
Dude, right?
Oh my god.
This one dude did.
That, and they like nearly fucking win.
Oh yeah, he
They're
was
not
way
like
up there.
Yeah,
He
not
was
that
up there.
far off.
The funny thing is, you can't like just sit down and cruise along. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really. Like you'd think like, oh, whatever, they'll just sit down and cruise around for 19 laps or whatever they do. But it's like if you're sitting down, you can't just sit
Yeah,
down and
no.
cruise those
Too tight and
trails. Like you
technical.
have to like.
Yeah.
You kind of have to
hammer
charge.
it. Yeah, you have to charge to get through it, or you're laying down. Like, and they're doing 19 laps.
That shit is crazy, dude.
I'm actually doing a trip. Just in like 2 weeks' time. Actually, I'm going over to South Africa and with these guys. They have a company. It's called Moto Safari. I don't know if you've heard of it. They actually do a Vietnam sort of a tour thing as well. But it's more of like it's like an enduro. It's an off-road thing.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So I got linked up with this guy Wes who owns Moto Safari, and we're going over to do a South Africa one. He wants to introduce, and it's gonna be like, I think it's like 2,500 kilometers, 10 days, just circling sort of South Africa.
That'd be sick.
So I'm looking forward to that. It should be really cool. Get
So
to
you're
see
in 2
lions
weeks.
and shit. Yeah. So I go home for about a week and then I'm going there.
Have you surfed over there?
I've never been to South Africa.
Dude, are you gonna surf?
Yeah,
over
I'm gonna
there?
surf. We're gonna go to J Bay and I think it kind of like starts out in Cape Town and we go inland and kind of go through the savannah and see, get to see lions and shit like that, and then come around and we hit the coast and we kind of follow the coast the rest of the whole bottom half, and it's like I think it's about 80% dirt roads and 20% highway, and we'll be on
That's sick.
some big Honda Africa Twins.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Africa
so it'll be
Twins in
proper
Africa.
like
Makes
sense.
Dude, that whole the whole Vietnam thing, like I said, I never really rode road bike stuff. This has really only been motos, and it really opened my eyes up to like what you can enjoy.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like I honestly didn't think that I'd be that pumped on the riding, but I got a whole new appreciation for the riding element. Like by the end of it, dude, after 2,500 Ks on a bike, and it was just all turns every day, like, oh, pardon me, I was just like starting to like get these flowy lines that I was kind of getting, and I was really, you could play with stuff. Like I'd have one day where I was like braking real hard into stuff, then I'd have other days where I was like not braking and just rolling through everything and just changing lines, and then you even get adjusted to the speed, and like the first day I was like hesitating a little bit or not going as hard as I could, but then the end of it, it's like you just spend so much time on these bikes, like you feel so comfortable. So it's like, even for a dirt bike guy that I've spent my whole life riding dirt bikes, I just got such a like appreciation for it, and I enjoyed it as much as I've like. There was riding like the day we rode the Western Ho Chi Minh Trail, hands down the best day I've ever had on 2 wheels in my life.
Yeah,
and it's on like a shitty.
And it was on a dog shit. Dog shit's like being harsh.
No,
but you know what I mean. But
yeah.
in terms of like, if you compare that to like an R1, it's
Right.
dog shit. So it's like to ride on that it was, and it's perfect. I wouldn't want to do it on another bike.
Right.
Because I'd fucking die. Like the road just invite you to go so fast. But it was just like really opened my eyes now. So when you talk about like that South Africa trip, and the same guy runs a Cambodia trip, so it's like my eyes are now open, and I can see why my dad was like, you have to go, you have to go, you have to go. And at the start I was like, I don't really want to ride a 150 through Vietnam, you know?
I know you got moto stuff in your head. You're like, 150?
Cooper Webb raced that when he was 10.
Yeah, it's a kid's bike, man. What are you talking about?
But like now I'm like, man, we should do a lot more of this shit. Yeah. And even a dirt bike guy can enjoy that ride. Yeah, you know?
For sure.
My whole sort of where moto came from for me and for my family, for my dad, was my grandfather. He started out, like, after he got out of the military, he bought a Harley, and then his thing was he was into touring, so he'd just go around the country, and he ended up getting really into like BMWs and stuff. And his whole thing, and like I guess it's really popular with the BMW crowd, is like join, they call it the Million Mile Club. So it's like you put a million miles, like they log it. And
no shit.
But yeah, like, so he he spent pretty much his whole life just riding and like logging as many miles as he can. He did all of the United States, Canada. He went over to Europe, did a just full Euro tour. Yeah, it was crazy, man. I don't know what the final number that he finally reached, but
did he pass away?
No, he's still alive.
Still alive.
Dude, yeah, he has one of those. He's 86 years old, and now he has one of those like 3-wheeled ones. Have you seen those? He can't ride a bike anymore, so he got one of those and cruises around. He lives in Florida.
Fucking gangster.
Dude, he's a gangster.
That's straight gangster shit right there. Tell me I can't ride 2 wheels. Boom. +1, bitch.
I don't even think they told him that he couldn't. I think he just couldn't do it. He's like, I'm fucking 86. I can't hold this thing up anymore. You know, if I tip over, I'm done. But
what a fucking G. Can you imagine if he like Oki straps his like walking frame to the back and there's just like sparks flying off the back?
That's pretty much what's going on.
Oh,
but yeah, that's pretty much where the motorcycle fever probably comes from for me. It was from him, and he still got the fever at 86.
It's crazy to think that we're going to be 86 at some point. Like, I know. Not that far away.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, true. But I think age is just so different now than what it was. Yeah. Like, I'm sure, like, your granddad's like, that's a rare dude.
Right.
For his era.
Right. That's pretty old, right?
Yeah. But to still be doing shit. Yeah. But, like, imagine us, like, I just think now, obviously, we know about how to look after ourselves. We're not doing work that's fucking our bodies over. We're not in the Navy and in the Army and doing crazy shit. But it's like there's so much technology that's going to let us do this for like a fucking long time. Like Wiggins, I don't know how old Wiggin is, but he's not a young dude and he's still out there riding. Yeah. Like there's Jet Ballard. Yeah. It's like nowadays, man, I just feel like we are living in a blessed era to where like we can all be doing this shit. Like even me with jiu-jitsu, like that's a fucking like look at my fingers today just from like gi burn. Like that's just from some dude's fucking collars rubbing my fingers off. Yeah. But like I want to do that shit when I'm 60, 65.
Yeah, I know. I used to always think, like I had this idea when I was like, you know, early 20s that there was like a cap on like...
It was like a cutoff.
Yeah, I'm like at some point I can't ride anymore, like it's capped, it's done. And like you think that age is like, obviously because you watch racing and stuff, you're like once you're 30 or whatever, like that's it, you can't ride anymore. But it's like, and then you see people like Ballard who are just hammering out there and you're just like, fuck, I want to be...
Dude, he was going so fast that you're like, fuck,
what am I doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, fuck, I hope I'm that fast when I'm 60.
Dude. And like Caballero and stuff, like a day in the dirt, he's out there riding and I'm like, hero straight up. Like I still like I want to be doing that. Like when there was a time where I thought it was like at some point you just gotta stop. You can't physically do it anymore. And then like,
but even if you can't, like my dad doesn't really ride moto, but he went and did this Vietnam thing, and like for him that just fully he had that same light bulb thing. Like I can just do this shit now. Yeah. So it's like that you can't always do more shit, but we just live in a time now where like, because dude, I grew up. I turned 30 last year, and I grew up thinking like same shit. I'd be over and out by 35 with like all physical activity. But my Uncle Glenn, he's 60 something and he rides his mountain bike every single day, and it's not easy riding. Like he fucking rips, and it's like all like Olympic cross country uphills and shit.
Yeah,
you know. So it's like we just live in a different time, man. It's so gnarly to think that we can all be doing this shit, and we could all still be talking about it at that age too. Really,
I know. I hope to be able to be that badass at that age.
It's just that's the time.
It's funny.
Now.
I turned 30, and I can in the States that's a vet for motocross.
Yeah,
like over here it's 35, so you can't do it. So like over there, because I got like obviously people like Forrest and everyone. I got mates over there and stuff like that. So I've been going over there and doing the races because I can do the vets class, and it's the most fun racing I've ever had racing my entire life, and it's like the veterans class, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm looking forward to the 40 plus class, the 50 plus class. I'm watching guys do it.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude,
100%.
They're having more fun than anyone who's like, that. Like you, all of a sudden the weekend turns and it becomes the like all the younger guys, all the juniors, all the 18-year-old kids, and it's like work for them. And like the other guys from the weekend before are all just having the best time of their life.
Just drinking beers.
Yeah.
Racing your buddies, no one's taking it too serious. Everybody's got to get to work in the morning.
Dude,
yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mammoth.
No one's been training. Everyone's out of shape.
Yeah, that's it too. It's just like.
Did you do Mammoth?
Yeah, I've done Mammoth.
Dude, that's the other thing I wish
this
I did.
last year was so fun.
Did you go up as well?
Yeah, we. Oh, well, he was on a different week. He did the vet weekend.
I did the vets weekend, so that was
I'm
my
not old
first
enough yet.
vets race. And
actually, I did the 25 plus class, but.
Yeah. See, I wanted to get this. It was full up the 25 plus class. That one gets full pretty quick.
Yeah, it's hard to get into that race, man.
Yeah, you just got to qualify or
hope
someone.
But they hold like a vets weekend beforehand. So like the first weekend's vets, and then they sort of run all the kids like kind of during the week, and then like all the 50s, 60s and stuff like that, and then it comes up to like, all the 250B, 25 plus, 250A. I don't know if they do a 250A.
Yeah, they do. I think. Yeah, I think they do.
250A, 250B. That's like all the young, fast dudes. But like the first weekend, like it's like totally sold out. Can't get a spot. Like most fun weekend I've ever had racing. It's epic. Like it was so good too because it's all like McGrath and Nick Way.
Yeah,
and
all the
Slater
old boys
was there.
Yeah,
like my buddy Adam Chatfield was there. He won it. He ended up winning it. He beat fucking McGrath and and like it was his first vet race as well, so
that's sick.
He was on a tear. He had a hell ride, and it was fucking epic though because those guys are all battling, and it's funny too because
they've all got like what you don't see is how much history all those boys have to get. Like they all like, really know each other like really well.
And it's weird because it's like all of a sudden guys like Nick Way is battling with McGrath, who like in their primes McGrath was 100 times better than Nick Way. No offense to Nick Way, but
yeah.
You know what I mean? But like now they're on the same level. Like this age thing, it's slowly brought them closer together, and all of a sudden, and they're battling for. They all want the trophy. They all want to win. You know what I mean? They all still want to win. It's like it's some of the best racing I've ever seen. It was so fucking good.
That Glen Helen Vets weekend is fucking sick. For
that
the world
would be sick too.
Man, my best friend that like I grew up racing with him. He's 40 something. Oh fuck. And he said like I stitched him up one year, like my visa, I had like visa problems, so I was like, come do World Vets. Got deported, like, not deported, but I had to leave. And then so I like stitched him up, and then he got like third. So then the next year he was only going to do it once, and then like a bunch of the like local sponsors in Cairns like rallied together so we could do it again. And I was there, and then we ended up fucking winning the thing with him. He won the 40 plus class, and it was like dude, I was like fucking in tears and shit. And it was like crazy. It came down to the last lap, but it was so fucking cool, man. Like he come and stayed with me and my friend Nick, and it was Nick's house. I lived at Nick's, and we just rented a U-Haul. And like every day, Don Maeda gave us a bike, so he had like a Transworld bike to ride, and went down and we built it out the back. It was such a sick experience to like share that with my best friend who I grew up racing with, and like then for him to win it, and like I stole this guy who was in fourth, and his chick was pitboarding, and he was in like a solo fourth, and Azza was in second, and if the dude got if the dude passed him, then he would have won the overall. But if Azza stayed in second, he wins the overall. Yeah. So I just run up and I'm like, your dude's solid in fourth. Give me that fucking pitboard. And she was like, what? So I just like got it, grabbed it, like you need second, and like run out on the track. And then it was, you know where I don't know if the track's there, but it's like that sort of sand section where you like jump into the sand and then you go left, right. And then you're onto the start straight again. So it was like that section, and then I ran there, and then I ran to like the next turn. So I was like running around the track, like trying to beat him to like, you have to fucking read this, like this is urgent. And the guy finished, man, half a bike length behind him. Like he held him off. It was the craziest shit. But again, two old dudes, and that was like the sickest weekend we've ever had. Was like when we're old,
I've wanted to do that, like.
Yeah, you'll get there. You'll do that one for sure.
Hyped to do that one.
Fucking oath, dude. It'll be sick.
He's like, Mark's borderline. Might as well just move to California at this point.
I'd say it's probably on the cards.
It's like, every month it's like, fuck, I think I'm gonna come over for that race. Oh, this is going on. Oh, this shit.
Get job offers. Yeah. Ask me to come over. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, fuck.
Can you align that with a race, and I'll
but that's what's cool about even the stuff that you do. Like you can go on glass boards anyway.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. I guess that's how it's going.
That's what's crazy is like there's actually like with just board building in general, like it's like a dying art. Like especially guys that do what he does with like resin color and stuff. Like we like at the factory that I'm at Aloha Glassing at home, like we can't find a qualified guy that does color work, like resin work, like what Mark does, or just anyone, period. Like they just don't exist. Like there's no young kids coming up really that are coming up and doing that, whereas like maybe in the 80s or something, like there would have been a bunch of them. Like there's people all over like building boards, but now it's like that doesn't exist. Like it's even around here too, like it's hard to find someone that knows how to do that. It's crazy. Like like what other, I don't know any other really industries that are like thriving, and in that there's a lot of surfboards being made, but there's very few people coming up, like young guys are like, oh, I want to build surfboards for a living. Like there really aren't. Like there aren't very many Groms that that want to build boards.
Yeah, no, the Groms bail out like before they want to move up too fast. Like you always get Groms into the factory, and it's like you get them to do stuff, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, I want to be a shaper, or I want to be a glasser, and it's like you've been doing this for like sweeping the floor for 6 months, like and then like you give them a job to do that's like a step up, and then they know, like most of them like start to cut corners on that job a little bit, like to get it done faster, because they want to, and then they're like, I want to do something else, and then it's like, well, you're not even doing the job we're giving you properly, and then like next thing you know, they're just like, I'm going to do concreting with dad, like, all right, so yeah.
I mean, the guys that are coming up, everyone wants to be a shaper, because those are the guys that are getting all the glory, well. Like they're the ones that are like the face of whatever the brand is, like, oh, he's a shaper, but like the unsung heroes are the glassers and the sanders and the, everyone else. Like without them, like there wouldn't be a surfboard.
Well, your shit is the first time I've ever not looked at who the shaper is of the surfboard.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think you are the first guy to me where I was like, holy fuck, there's like gnarly glass dudes that like actually take. Well, I don't know if there's more than you, but it's like, here's this dude that's like stolen the spotlight that is normally reserved for the guy with the logo. And to me, like even Statsy and Joel, like that, they didn't tell me who shaped their boards. They told me that you glassed them. And it's like, that's cool. I still don't know who shaped their boards, but that to me is like,
I think
that's rare, dude.
There's maybe like 3 dudes, maybe 4 that come to mind that the glass job is like a brand in itself, you know what I mean, where it's like, and it's like distinguishable. You can pick it out of a other board just based on like, the color work. Like you can be like, oh yeah, that was so and so did that, like, oh, that was Mad Chook's board. You can usually tell like a lot of the marbling and stuff that he does, that's pretty like unique to him, right? There's only maybe like 2 other guys that or maybe 3 that have that, and that's in the world. And it's
fucking crazy.
There's a handful of guys, that I obviously know the same sort of thing, like you know them for their glassing, like, and you know they could do anyone's board, and you see it and you're like, fuck, that's, you know, that guy, you know. So it's kind of cool to be held in that category of those guys, obviously, because you know.
Well, again, it's just like you can't fake that shit. Like the cream rises to the top in those situations. Like you can't skip any steps and get those accolades.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's it.
Man, it's like it's interesting to see where it's gonna go. Like, you know, like what the future of board building will be if there's no one coming up to replace these guys. Like, you know, other than like, you know, our generation. There's a few, you know, there's maybe a couple that I was just talking about, but everyone else is like in their 60s, 50s, 60s, and they're all like, you know, they're not gonna be able to working that. Everyone's like my dad's age, like they're not gonna be working that much longer. You know, it's only so much. You can only work for so long, and then once those guys are gone, like I don't know who's gonna be there to replace them, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like there's gonna be this huge hole in the industry, so it'll be interesting to see like what.
But that breeds opportunity, man.
Yeah.
Like you look at, I got a friend that's a property developer. And it's like the industry changes, and you can either be the old head that wants to stay doing it the way that he's always done it because it works, or you could be like that young new dude that uses Instagram to promote his shit and actually, like, dude, it was fucking inspiring watching you shape a board like that yesterday. It was like a time warp. I felt like I was watching like a On Any Sunday board being shaped that was back then, like a dude in like a garage in Malibu when all this shit was originally happening, but it wasn't. It was in 2019 with a young, you know, because you just don't. It just doesn't. That's not the visual you get when you think of a surfboard shaper now, and it's so dominated by like these big names. And then when you get someone that comes in and does it the way that you do it, that's like such a throwback. But with this modern twist, like it was inspiring, and it made me want to surf that board. And that's probably why you're having a level of success in the industry, and you know, people want to watch you ride and surf and shape, and you know, companies want to be aligned with you. Like it's a fucking cool thing.
That's what psychs me up so much about Forrest stuff, you know what I mean? Because it's just not, because my dad was a shaper as well, you know what I mean? So I grew up around all that, and just from that time of everyone hand shaping all their own stuff, and you could only make as many boards as you could physically make yourself, like, because you couldn't just go, oh, can you go shape this board for me, because it's going to come out completely different, because you have to make the thing by hand, like hand shape the entire design. So nowadays people can just get it machine cut and give it to someone, and they can dust over it, and it's going to be basically the same board, regardless of who skimmed over it with the pad at the end and cleaned it up, you know what I mean? So like coming across someone like Forrest was not only was it cool that he's still hand shaped, and like obviously his dad was a shaper, and he was making epic boards and the sort of stuff that I love too, because I grew up, you know, I like everything old school anyway. I like old bikes, old cars, old boards, old everything. I don't know why, I'm just drawn to that old school everything. So like his boards are epic, he's hand shaping all of them. Like it's rare to, you know, to come across someone as young as Forrest is that still has that grassroots like element about him doing his boards. He's obviously like, he says he wants to get to 1,000 boards. So that's 1,000 boards shaped by hand, you know.
And how many waves ridden is that?
Who knows?
1,000 boards. 1,000 boards. Well, like how many fucking waves is that those things are caught?
We were talking about it the other day, and he was saying his dad still just hand shapes all his boards, all his mouths and everything. And what was he up to? Something ridiculous.
Yeah, my dad. So he started keeping. I'm pretty sure he started keeping track in the 80s. Early 80s. He's been shaping since the early 70s, and he had shaped, I believe he shaped about, since he started keeping track, he's like pushing 20,000 boards.
Fuck.
Yeah. Like, and he just,
that's why when you're like, oh, 1,000, that's a lot, and I'm like,
well,
he looks at that, he's like 500.
You barely know.
That's like a year's worth.
But he's from a time obviously when they couldn't just pump him out on a machine, so it's like, oh fuck, if we've got to shape fucking 30 boards this week. We got to shake
We
30
gotta shake
boards,
30
and they're
boards.
just fucking banging on
they're
it,
doing
aren't
5
they?
a day, like, and that was standard, like, 5 a day, like.
They were the production line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was you just.
Most of them
hammered
have all
out.
got fuck shoulders. And
Yeah.
shit, like
Yeah, dude.
from running the planer.
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's definitely, like I said, it's a dying art, dying trade for sure. But
Well, I'm
Trying
glad
to keep it alive.
there's dudes like you two out there, and I'm glad I got that mic sorted. That was a good idea midway through. Should have done that from the start, but yeah, thanks, man. I'm glad that you were able to fit this in. I know you've been pretty
thanks
busy.
for having me.
Hopefully, we can get this team Gypsy Tales going for the Day in the Dirt. Be pretty keen to make that happen.
Gypsy Tales A team.
Yeah,
That's right.
well, it's the only team. The G team. But yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It's fucking cool. Like, you honestly have a really cool story, and yeah, man, like, it's inspiring. And definitely just being in the room with you yesterday inspired me to surf more and to maybe like pay a bit more attention to what exactly is getting ridden, and just commitment to a lifestyle as well. And it's not easy all the time to do what you're doing. So I appreciate you coming on, Chook.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
you being
having
here as
us.
well.
Yeah.
And this won't be the last time we do one of these together. So maybe post Day in the Dirt.
Yeah.
We'll get you down to
that'd be
Costa
good.
Rica.
Dude, yeah, I'm actually keen for that. And then that slide toba.
Yeah, Bali.
Just go like...
Dude,
Just
the
keep it
Bali
alive.
trip.
There's two... Yeah, I need a surf trip, dude. Like, seriously, I've never been on a surf trip in my life. I need to do that. So,
Yeah.
keen.
That'd be the spot. Costa Rica would be the you'd have.
What's it called? The left there? Pavones?
Yeah, Pavones is the
Let me add
sickest
that
way,
shit.
Dude, that is the spot.
That's where one of the boys... Do you know Enoch Harris?
No.
He was a producer on the Fox thing. He actually produced that Andy Irons doco. Was like one of the producers on that. But he worked at Fox for like a brief time. But he used to work at Billabong for ages. But yeah, he's a goofy footer as well. And we shot that Fox thing, and he's like, "Dude, you should have changed your flight to come to Pavones." Yeah. And I was like, "Fuck, I just couldn't do it. I didn't have boards and shit." But yeah, well, that's like always been. He just said,
That's
"Dude,
the
like
place.
that's the left that you want to surf."
You'll in one wave probably have more actual surfing time in one wave than you would in a whole month maybe surfing, a beach break or something. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what I need in my life.
It's a long wave.
And Costa Rica's sick. We obviously covered it, but it's a beautiful country. So I'm keen. I'll be there. I'll be there if you want me there for sure.
You'll be there.
Sweet. All right, boys.
All
All right, mate. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, boys. I don't know how long that was. Holy fuck, it's 9:30.
Is it really?
Jesus Christ.
How long was that?
Oh, 3.5 hours.
Was it?